Chat, what's up?
We see a video going viral today, although I know it has been out before, of Mo 3.
Yeah.
Running out of his vehicle, looking to try to grab a gun right in the middle of the highway, where he was gunned down. Yellow Beezy was just picked up on a murder for hire plot.
Yeah.
They are saying that this shooter is going to testify against Yellow Beezy.
Yeah.
They're also saying there's not much of a case. I saw you share something.
Yeah.
And
From attorney Michael Campbell, a very, very well known. Shout out to Michael Campbell. Yeah, very well known black attorney in the Dallas Fort Worth area. You know, a lot of attorneys tuned in because the shooter's not being charged with Mo 3's murder. He's being charged for the gun possession. So the shooter's not even being charged with Mo 3's murder. He got a federal he have a federal gun charge. Yellow Beezy got a state case. Man, it's hard for the state to prove murder.
So there's nobody being charged for the murder?
Yellow Beezy, murder for hire. But there's no shooter being charged.
Oh, that's interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah, there's no shooter being charged. The guy that's being charged as the shooter, he was already out on bond for killing his transgender girlfriend. So he was already killing people. Yeah, but you know, I've even seen other attorneys say, you know, just making a prediction that Yellow Beezy be found not guilty or hung jury. So I've been seeing all attorneys online, you know, making different comments. You know, for the bond to go from 2 million.
I should see what that is. What's that over there? Thank you. I might be able to break those locks now. Okay, Anna. Stay calm. You can lose this. I'm here. Sonny? There you are. some kind of lockpick. Thank God.
What is this? Where this little trail leads me. I guess I can't see to you after all.
This should help the pain.
Oh, shoulder. Does that hurt?
Come on back! Yeah!
Million to 700,000. That is a lot.
Yeah. And these are Texas.
Yeah,
boys, right?
this Texas capital murder. Yeah, he went from 2 million to 7.
Yeah, I seen that. It dropped twice.
Dropped significantly.
Yeah. So that kind of, if from the outside looking in, it kind of looks like, you're dropping it that much, you might not have
Yeah,
what you thought you had.
yeah. I don't think so. But then again, homie, you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
Another group in Texas, Sauce Walker. We had him up here a few days ago, a few days prior to the shooting. Rest in peace to Say So P. And I do wish for a speedy recovery from Sauce Walker. I asked him a question about you, and he was very honest in his take. He said he doesn't know why people take you serious or with you in that capacity. Like why are you taking him as a threat? And then he goes on to say people are mad because you do say some real shit, and this is who you've been saying you were from the beginning. He said it in an interesting way, which I thought was hilarious. He's like, he's a truth teller. Truth teller. But he did mention that you are saying what people are just afraid to admit.
Yeah, yeah, with Sauce. I started out getting into it with Sauce now.
Yeah.
With Sauce now. Nigga, I used to fuck with Sauce now like a. I started out getting into it with Sauce now. Him, Rizzo. With the, like a, I used to be on their ass, you hear me? But Papa Sauce, his daddy, told him don't say nothing. Yeah, and that's what I really respect about him and his old man. I love their relationship. I love how he look out and pay homage to the elders. He a young man that got a lot of respect for the elders.
Mm-hmm.
So nah, homie, his old man told him not to say nothing. It's a few times he done a Say Cheese TV interview when we was going.
To find the others. Where's this go? Can I use that? Out of here. Please! Somebody! Help us! Too loud.
It's much too quiet. They can't be far. That's my... They're all over. Stay.
Got this.
But for the most part,
He's a funny dude.
yeah. I didn't understand him at first. Yeah, he was a word to me at first with that. Oh wait, yeah. He used to do all that funny Saigon shit he used to do when jump out the trees. But not homie. He's a very entertaining a genius, smart, sharp, in any game related. But now I fuck with the whole crew, homie. We was on the West Coast like 2 years ago when I was doing that boxing celebrity shit. And we was all staying at the same hotel. Yeah. He told them, y'all better leave him alone.
Yeah,
he like Batman. They got all kind of weapons and shit. Y'all knocking them upside their head, macing them. Yeah, he told them, y'all see he got all kind of weapons. He like Batman.
Yeah. And there was a video where, like, I believe it was when you maced a few people, right? And they claimed that they were TSF or something. He was like, they ain't with me.
Yeah. Some more. Man, I think what them bitch ass nigga was from. Them blood nigga. They walking with South Walker up into the thing. Playing like they was, man. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, leave me out of it. That with me.
Yeah, that may shoot far. Way over there.
That was different. That was like a fire music.
Fucking made shot. They mother them niggas run their ass back in that doorway. Yeah, act like they gonna come down the stairs and jump on me. Yeah, man. Said,
what was your thoughts when you heard that he was shot at? He was shot. And his homie was murdered.
What is happening?
I know Memphis a dangerous
Wait. Maybe through here? Like this. Oh, nice. Okay.
What's going on here?
Use this.
Gotta get the hell out of here. This looks promising.
Sonny, you're here. Can I fit? Oh, this is sick. They are sick. Phew, got it. Sonny! Oh, thank the heavens you're alive.
I know you around here somewhere. There they are. Just stay low. Please leave somewhere. Look, I'm sorry about your friend. I'm afraid he drowned you. I can't think straight with all this craziness going on.
How many of them are there?
Maybe I can move one. Yeah.
You're gonna get out, okay? You will, Julie. It's too quiet. I don't like this. Somebody help me. Oh, thank you. This'll help. Maybe it will. No sign. But I know they're still around. That was loud.
You shifty as a skeeter, I'll go give you that. How do we get out of here?
They're everywhere. Can't get seen again. so much. Is anything I can use? Okay, this might help the pain.
Julie, over here.
We never should have come here. Okay, it's open. Okay.
Messing with you. You get out of here. Why are you running?
dangerous place. Memphis will kill anybody. They don't have no favorite. Don't have no favorite. Yeah. So when I heard it, it just you know, I done met Say So people before. So yeah, but when I heard about Sauce, it's like when Pac got shot. I didn't think. It's not that I think invincible. It's just so, you know, don't think, you know.
Yeah.
He'll be alright.
Yeah.
It's kind of like nigga hospital, like he did when he got shot the first time.
Yeah.
So kind of like same with Sauce.
Yeah. You know, it's wild because he said something extremely interesting. Speaking about the little red, the same thing you said, damn near.
Yeah.
The people that are around you or the dirt that you're doing to other people could fall back.
That's what happened.
SOP, which I don't know if it's true. His mother said it wasn't true, but you know, it wasn't aimed for Sauce Walker. He feels terrible that, you know, he went to Memphis with Say So when Say So should have been somewhere else. He said he wished he would have went somewhere else, but he was excited to get back home.
You know hindsight is always 20/20.
Yeah.
Homie, hindsight always 20/20. I read a post where he said, man, I told your fat ass you should be moving different. You know, he wrote a whole lot post, you know, where he was saying, man, full destruction. So there's always a warning. So homie, nigga ain't in the streets, so it's hard to, you know, check their pulse.
Yeah.
You hear all kind of shit, you know. It's some street shit. Mama don't know if it's some street shit.
Yeah.
Cause nigga ain't put mama in the street shit unless mama in the street shit. But even then, mama don't know. For her, it wasn't nothing. So didn't have no mask on, and it broad daylight. So it's you know, shit. Yeah, it's something.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was supposed to be a celebration too. Like, I'm finna sell sauce where I'm from.
Yeah.
I'm finna stop by this store, go over here. Let me show you around my town.
Yeah, he said, you know, from reading what he wrote, he said he had been trying to get him to come, and they finally agreed to come. So so it's like
The sheriff's department says Maria Flores.
Then it's admirable because Sauce got up after being shot. A lot of people criticize him. Oh, he's moving around too happy or whatnot. But he completed the mission. He two of them.
Will unearth new leads. Family.
This will help. Thank you. I can use that. Did they hear me?
I'm fixing to find you all, that's for sure. You made me go.
Stay hidden. Stay hidden. I need something for this wound. It's getting worse. It's too quiet. I gotta find something for the pain. They're too close. I can get through. Be more careful. Finally. Those animals. I can't get away. Think. I think they left. Sure, I can make it. Was that thing? Was that a person? Someone would fit in the door. Maybe I can open those doors. I gotta find a way out of here. Just go away, damn it. Sick. They're sick. Julie, I'm right here. Come on. I gotta find something I can use.
Okay. Okay. You got this. Where are they? It's too quiet. How did this happen? How do people like this happen? Think. Just look around, Connie.
They gotta be around here somewhere.
Please don't let that thing come back.
Looks like they left. Freaks.
What you trying to? What you say? You trying to open the gate? The 18 gate door? Oh, that.
Think they're gone, but I know they'll be back.
Say, shit, if you go out the front door, I don't even know. Oh, it probably is.
This is disgusting.
Tori.
Them were supposed to do together. He went to the interviews, he went to the stores that Cecil wanted him to go to, and he still ended up moving around out there. If you had an opportunity to speak to Sauce Walker and tell him, you know, what your thoughts on how he should move going forward, what would you say to him?
I wouldn't know what to tell him, homie. I ain't never had nobody killed close to me. Think about what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I ain't never had nobody killed close to me. I don't know what to tell who done lost some, who done had somebody killed close to them.
Yeah.
I've never had to bury a close friend to them being killed. I've had a close friend commit suicide, but I've never had a friend murdered that I've had to bury. So I don't know that pain.
Yeah.
So even growing up as a kid, I never had a friend that was killed to gun violence, gang violence, none of that. So I don't know that pain. So I wouldn't know what to tell him, homie. What? When I was looking at him in that room, with the drink, you know, trying to show good spirits, for the camera. Yeah, I seen a young who had just experienced some trauma, and he traumatized.
Me too.
You can see it.
Yeah. I don't care how well they act. Yeah, my traumatized, homie. You can't. You can't fall off a bridge and face death and live to tell the story and think that overwhelming fear that you felt that I was gonna die don't have a lasting impact on you some kind of way. Stand over you with a gun, get ready to shoot you. The terror and man, that shit life, man, that shit life, man. You can't forget that emotion, man. So Oh my, he probably still numb and in shock right now, homie.
Stay a bitch.
Facts.
Yeah, man. Probably still numb and in shock, homie.
It's
So yeah,
is pain the greatest?
pain has been the greatest motivation to change for a lot of people, to become better. Yeah, that's nigga, that's been the generator to change for a lot of people, for the better.
Oh. Disgusting.
I genuinely don't. Stop messaging me with the eating shit. I don't care. We do what we do. Okay? Since we've had Mr. White up here last time, they said that video came out after you had left.
Yeah.
Of you talking about old boy on stand 30 years ago, 1992.
Yeah, my co-defendant.
Yeah, and they said, now what? I said, I posted it on Facebook.
Yeah.
I know you saw it. It's like, what do you mean? Now all you did was generate more revenue for him. What are we talking about?
My bookings have went up exponentially. Just off that video alone, I done almost generated $100,000 in just interviews and just doing extra shit that normally I wouldn't have been doing outside of that. So
Thank you.
that was my whole breakout on social media. Was advocating and representing the snitching that the street codes don't apply to children. Well, people say, man, well, you were 16, we were 14 when we committed the murder. So if you say 16 not grown, then you're okay with an adult messing with a 16-year-old little girl. So that means you're all right. So you're saying if a child is molested, he should feel gay, she should feel okay, because you're saying 16 is an adult and 16 is not an adult. We were 14. So that was my whole. That's why me and Gilly got into it, because he called Pop Hunter a snitch when he was like 14 years old, who witnessed and testified against a murder. And it ruined that kid's whole rap career. So that's how me and Gilly got into it.
And then in what world is somebody okay? Again, I spoke about this publicly, not on a platform. In what world would a parent be okay when their child comes home or their child's in jail and they give them a phone call and say, I committed a robbery, my boy murdered somebody? In what world would the parent be okay? Well, you know what? You're gonna stand tough and you're gonna take the charge for him.
This ain't no robbery. This a misdemeanor theft. We doing what most criminal mischief children was doing at the time, homie.
Were you a troublemaker at that time? Were you like a troubled kid around those times?
I was starting to become one. So I probably had maybe 9 months of starting to, become juvenile delinquent. Yeah. I was just starting to rebel. You know what I'm saying? My mom was pregnant with my little sister at the time. So yeah, I was just starting to rebel. Doing criminal mischief shit. Most people say, well, man, y'all was committing criminal acts. Under the law and under moral statutes, children don't commit crimes. Children commit delinquent acts, juvenile delinquents. So we're being delinquent, homie. You know what I'm saying? Even though we're committing crimes, we don't have the brain capacity to really be criminals or to be criminal minded at 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It's just impulsive. You know what I'm saying? And then you gotta think, I'm first generation of children in America to begin to commit crimes such as murder and to be incarcerated for crimes such as murder. In the 80s, this was This was no thing in America. It wasn't until the 90s. So outside of places like California, Chicago, Philly, New York, Baltimore, DC, places where crack was hit real big in the beginning, children wasn't committing crimes. So I got locked up September 18, 1991. So I fell in a group of children in Texas. So we're the first group of children in Texas who began to be charged and sentenced for crimes such as capital murder and murder. During this time, we're also the first children in America in the early 90s. That's where the term super predators come from. So that's when Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, made a bold statement to America and said that there's a wave of children who have been born into this country, and these children are super predators. So we're those children that was termed super predators. And what they meant by that, they said that these group of children was gonna be bigger, faster, stronger, that they were gonna be heartless, and incorrigible. And the word incorrigible means that they wouldn't be able to change. So that's when America began making laws geared toward children, youth. But before then, that was unheard of, homie. So for a month come along and say kids didn't know street code back in my day.
The Supercross video game is back, baby!
Leland, over here!
I can use this.
Fit in the door.
What should have been a night of mentally tense celebration turned into a scene of
I can use that. Awful. Just awful. Don't come over here.
Stay close.
Think. Just look around, Connie. It's too quiet.
You ever watch someone? Don't worry. I'll find you.
What if a fungus began infecting every living person and turned them into mindless disease-spreading killers? What would you do? I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to survive the initial outbreak in The Last of Us Prologue. In 1968, two epidemiologists appear on a television interview debating what types of microorganisms could destroy mankind. One suggests that a virus such as influenza can cause massive destruction, but the other poses fungus could cause more damage in the right conditions. Fungi, he explains, have the ability not just to kill, but to control the mind of its host organism and keep the deceased alive for its needs. While not yet strong enough to be threatening to humans, as global temperatures rise, fungi might gain the ability to take over human bodies. If that happens, he says there would be no cure, and everyone would die. Okay, this is absolutely terrifying. These two scientists are debating over what's the greatest threat to mankind on national television, when this man describes something so messed up that it should have sent shockwaves across the country. Instead, everyone here goes back to their everyday lives and pretends like they haven't just heard that their brains could be taken over by a mind-controlling fungus. If it were me, I would move to an arid climate and fumigate my home to make sure it's hotter than hell. Even though these people think that they're not immediately screwed, there's something they can do to help prepare themselves for the day the fungus eventually gets sick of the swamp and decides to make their bodies its new home. Rather than pretend like none of this is ever going to happen, there should be a push for funding to create a vaccine and control this outbreak before it even happens. In 1918, the Spanish flu emerged and infected 500 million people, aka 1/3 of the world's population, killing roughly 50 million in total. The spread of the flu was fast and deadly primarily because of the conditions of World War I and the lack of a vaccine ready and on hand. Had the people watching this news segment been more aware of history, they may have been able to see how important it was to control the outbreak before it even began. In reality, fungus isn't a threat to humans, but it's a threat to amphibians, insects, and other arthropods. More research could have been done on how the fungus takes over its amphibious hosts and how to save them before it's too late. Now, this isn't the perfect solution because amphibians are fundamentally built different than humans. So I would also push to fund research that studies less deadly fungus that can affect the human body, like Candida, athlete's foot, and ringworm, to find a link between how these fungus developed and evolved to infect humans. By understanding the link in these fungi's evolution, the people in this world could have seen the warning signs coming when a more deadly fungus like the cordyceps began to do the same. Instead, they ignored the warning signs and leave themselves absolutely unprepared and are about to realize it was their biggest mistake yet. In 2003 in Austin, Texas, teenager Sarah Miller wakes up on the morning of her dad's birthday and begins to cook the two of them a special breakfast. Joel Miller comes down and the two banter about his turning 36 and their day ahead when Tommy, Joel's brother, arrives. Tommy informs Joel of unexpected complications at their construction job, forcing them to stay out late. Sarah's pissed, but Joel assures her that he will be home by 9 p.m. with a birthday cake. Over the radio, a news broadcast mentions a troubling occurrence in Jakarta, Indonesia. The three of them rush it off.
Attack on 3 female college students in Pflugerville, Texas last year is back in the public spotlight. Pflugerville citizens are in an uproar demanding answers from Texas state officials on why no arrests have been made in the case. Reports say an unidentified man entered the home tonight, viciously strangling one female to death for attempting to stab both roommates who were...
Oh, God. That hurts. I have to get out of here. I wonder where this goes. Connie, stay quiet. I'm here. This could be my way out. I should see what that is. Oh my God. You get away from me! Thank you, Lord. Thank you. It seems I've lost them. Oh my God. Thank you. Are they really gone? What is this?
I gotta get out of here. Hey, you
into her father's room and finds his broken wristwatch and takes it, along with some money. Looks like he'll be paying for his own birthday gift. Outside, their neighbor Mr. Adler greets Joel, Sarah, and Tommy as they prepare to leave. He asks when Sarah will come over to visit as he feeds his elderly mother-in-law in a somewhat vegetative state, and reluctantly, Sarah agrees to visit that evening. After school, Sarah goes to a watch repair shop. As the owner begins to fix Joel's watch, his wife bursts in and kicks Sarah out, per the announcement of the shop's early closure. It's strange, but Sarah makes her way home at the shopkeeper's wife's warning, passing by several emergency response vehicles on the way. At her neighbor's house, Sarah and Mrs. Adler bake raisin cookies. The older woman does not seem concerned about the increased planes and emergency vehicles, even though Sarah asks about them. Eventually growing bored, Sarah browses the family's collection of movies. As she does, the elderly woman behind her begins to move erratically like she's in pain, but Sarah doesn't notice. She picks out an action movie DVD and lies that her father will be home soon so she can leave. As she exits with a container of cookies, Sarah notices the Adler's dog staring strangely at the elderly woman, but she decides to ignore it. As she walks down the street to her house, several military planes pass overhead. Later that night, Sarah is reading magazines while a news report about a series of strange and violent crimes in Austin plays on the television. When her father comes home at 10 p.m., she scolds him for being late and for getting a birthday cake before giving him his presents, the watch, and the movie borrowed from the Adlers. Okay, there are tons of warning signs here. Sarah is just a teenager, so we've got to cut her some slack. But there's no avoiding the combination of everything together should have set off alarm bells much earlier. It would have been the dog staring at the old woman like this for me. I mean, there were literally cookies being baked in the room next door. What dog do you know stares at an old woman like this when they have the opportunity to catch scraps of food? Now, the earliest sign of danger was the news story covering the strange occurrence in Jakarta. The most important part of this news broadcast is that the radio host says that these are continued disturbances, which means that the disturbances have been happening for some time, and they've already been covered before. If Sarah and Joel had been paying attention to these disturbances and these occurrences in Jakarta are anything like what's about to happen, Joel, Sarah, and Tommy should have already made plans to get the heck out of a major city and isolate themselves from everyone else before hits the fan.
The Supercross video game is back, baby. Let's do this. Count me in. I'm game. Are you? Monster Energy Supercross 25. We are game.
Great storytelling isn't just about cameras and editing, it's about impact. Whether you need aerial drone shots, multicam live streaming, or high-end motion graphics, we've got the expertise to make your message unforgettable and the experience to make the process flawless. Ready to elevate your brand? Let's talk.
The news broadcaster goes on to say how US citizens are being advised, but Joel is too busy wondering where Jakarta is to hear anything she says. If it were me, even though he's Lieutenant's gorgeous boyfriend at the moment, I would tell Joel to shut his beautiful mouth and turn the radio all the way up to see just exactly what's going on. The other big mistake Sarah makes here is leaving the jewelry store without asking what's going on. This woman clearly knows that there's imminent danger outside, and even though I might question her sanity, if she told me there was a brain-eating fungus running rampant throughout Austin, I still would never go outside without knowing exactly what I was going up against. Normally, it's polite to mind your own business, but when someone acts like this and then expects you to go outside, it's time to pay attention and ask questions to figure out what's got them so freaked out. If Sarah had pressed the shopkeeper's wife for information earlier, she would have known to pay more attention to the news. Without knowing more, there isn't much that she could have done, but if it were me, once I had this knowledge, I could have found Joel and left before it was impossible. I would have known to avoid everything, and I would try to get my hands on a computer to read real-time updates and tips from people in my area on forum groups that were available in 2003. I would also try to find a way to shield myself against the fungus, covering all exposed areas of my skin, and prepare to run at a moment's notice. Instead, Joel, Sarah, and Tommy avoid the early warning signs, and they were about to face the consequences. Sometime after watching the news, the Sarah falls asleep in the house. Joel for participating in a bar, which Tommy swears he did not start, and Joel eventually leaves the Tommy building. Sarah to bed and leaves. A few hours later, Sarah wakes up. It's after 2 a.m., and there are multiple aircrafts flying above the house. Something terrifying. And she searches for her father, but he still hasn't returned yet. When she turns on the TV, the only broadcast is an emergency message warning everyone to stay indoors. Suddenly, the Adler's dog appears at the door, begging to be let into the house, and Sarah goes outside to calm the frightened dog. When she tries to walk it back home, the dog panics and runs off. It's strange, and as car alarms go off in the neighborhood, Sarah notices the Adler's front door is open. Okay, Sarah here is still avoiding the warning signs, and Joel should have never left his teenage daughter home alone to help Tommy, leaving her all alone at her house while chaos is unfolding all around her. They should already be halfway done building a bunker somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, but instead, she's standing here with the Adler's dog, wondering what the heck is going on with all these low-flying aircrafts. Sarah needs to be woken up to the fact that there's something that's immediately going to threaten her life, and at this point, the Adler's dog is her best bet. Even though dogs can't communicate, Sarah can very clearly tell that this dog is in distress, and instead of taking it seriously, she tries to bring it back to her neighbor's house. The dog has never appeared to be in any danger before, and animals have instincts that make them able to anticipate anticipate a natural disaster before it happens. If it were me, rather than disregard the dog's behavior, Sarah should take this and her television's national alert as a sign that some sort of natural disaster is underway. Now, there's no clear scientific evidence that suggests dogs can predict natural disasters, but their olfactory senses are said to be 10,000 to 100,000 times stronger than humans, so they can smell when there's a change of the air before disaster strikes. Most fungi have a mold or mushroomy smell to them, so this dog would have been able to have smelled when the old woman was infected earlier in the day. At this point, I would assume that a tornado has struck somewhere nearby based on this dog's behavior. Austin's not particularly prone to devastating natural disasters, even tornadoes, but there have been some throughout its history.
Contained a variety of body and animal parts, from frog legs to horse hooves to human eyeballs. The owner of the property, 60-year-old Martin Wembley, claims he bought the jars as...
Oh God. Where am I? What is this place? What's that over there? I think I can make it. Are the others with you? Are they gone? God, I hope they're gone. You get away from me! I should see what that is. Oh, finally. They left. I need to find the others. Anna, slow down. Are they gone? I think I'm okay.
Don't worry.
For now.
I'll find you.
The city has even felt the shake of an earthquake in 1887, so nothing's impossible. That means that in a disaster scenario, Sarah's best bet is to listen to the national alert on her TV and stay the f indoors and shelter in place. If Sarah went back inside, there's no guarantee that the phones will be working, but she should at least try to call Joel or the police to get someone there to help her. Calling the police and getting nobody would at least shed some light on the severity of the situation, but instead, she ignores the warning signs and has come face to face with a deadly fungus to realize life as she knows it is about to change forever.
In a world where you've constantly been told what you can't do, who will you choose to be when presented with something different? Ask your healthcare provider what could be.
Fuck. What is this?
It's the most important box in the world.
In here, all your troubles disappear.
This box contains all.
Sarah goes up to the Adler's house to investigate, and inside, things are in disarray. She makes her way towards the kitchen, calling out to anyone, but then she slips on a pool of blood. She follows the trail and sees Mr. Adler leaning in the corner, barely alive, seemingly intact. He's so weak, he can barely ask for help. Sarah turns towards the rest of the blood to find Mrs. Adler on the ground, being devoured by her mother. The older woman slowly looks up, and Sarah notices strange tendrils moving in her mouth. The elderly woman screams at Sarah, who begins sprinting out of the house. At that moment, her father and Tommy pull up in their truck. Both men hop out, and Joel tells Sarah to get into the vehicle. The elderly woman runs out of the house and trips on the porch. The trio stand in shock before the woman snaps back up and starts running at them again. Joel, thinking fast, uses a large wrench in his hand to bludgeon the woman down. Sarah is confused and in shock, and Joel explains to his daughter that something is happening all over town. But in order to be safe, the three of them must leave town now. They pack into the trunk and speed away from the neighborhood. On the highway, the three discuss what's going on. Tommy explains he heard on the radio that some type of virus or parasite is spreading rapidly, but no one seems to know the cause. Joel and Tommy debate if terrorists are somehow involved. Sarah asks how they can know if they're infected, and Joel explains that right now, it's said to mostly be affecting people in cities. Sarah realizes that the Adlers took the elderly woman into the nearby city for regular medical treatments. They drive towards a broken down van and family asking for help. Sarah and Tommy want to stop, but Joel commands them to keep going. It's cold-blooded, but it's the only way they'll be able to survive. The highway ahead becomes full of cars at a standstill, and it's clear everyone is heading out of town. With time running out, Joel tells Tommy to take a shortcut across an empty field. They do, and some other cars in the traffic jam begin to follow. Okay, Joel is finally doing the right thing. There's a deadly fungus on the loose that's making everyone go crazy, and stopping to pull over to help these people could have been a fatal mistake. Nobody likes a backseat driver, but if Tommy had pulled over and helped these people like he wanted to, they could have all been killed. When there isn't a parasite on the loose, picking up a hitchhiker is risky, and Tommy and Joel are trying to get out of town as fast as possible. Stopping to pick someone up that could have been infected would at worst kill them, and at best slow them down, and they've already wasted enough time. However, there's something that Tommy and Joel could have done to help them escape the situation faster. Tommy here was just in jail for a bar fight with one of these infected things. Based on the state of the roads and the panicked way that Joel and Tommy show up to get Sarah, there's no doubt chaos was going down at the jail too. If it were me, while I was at the jail, I would have stolen a police radio to help me guide me away from the most infected areas. Google Maps doesn't have a setting to avoid fungus yet, so these guys are going to have to operate outside of the law. The jail wouldn't be operating regularly, making it easier to steal them, while the police try to handle these rapid insane things that have affected everyone in sight. The radio would be crucial in finding the best way to safety, as well as where to get. The men have already driven to the highway and have found it completely packed. They've had to change the course of their journey, but don't know exactly where to go next. Going anywhere near the city is a bad idea, since that's where the fungus originated, and heading back to the suburbs where they're from is bound to be worse than when we left it. Nobody is safe in this situation, not even the police. But they're very equipped to protect themselves, and by tapping into the radio, not only could Joel and Tommy find the best roads to take, they could also find a location that the police have cordoned off for the infected for their own protection. They'll eventually find a place to stop, and going somewhere with people that are more equipped to defend themselves is their best bet. There's possibly even military involvement at this point, and there could be efforts to fight them out of there. With a little more thinking on their feet, these guys could have maximized their potential for escape, but how can we blame them when the infected look like this? Your fight or flight response response must be going crazy. After passing over a hill, they spot a huge convoy of army vehicles on the highway they need to get on. In a panic, Tommy takes the truck in a different direction, the only way they can go. Joel and Tommy devise a plan to take the outskirts as far as they can, then head towards Mexico. Terrified, Sarah suggests the infection could be worldwide, and the man don't answer, determined to survive. Suddenly, 3 passenger planes appear, flying dangerously low. A fleet of emergency vehicles cuts off the truck's path and forces them to drive through the center of town. In town, there's pandemonium. People are running, fighting, and looting. It's a difficult street to navigate. A large swarm of people exit a movie theater and force Tommy to drive backwards. That's when Sarah notices something in the sky and realizes it's a plane falling towards the town. She yells a warning to them, and Tommy throws the truck back into drive as the plane crashes, creating a massive explosion. Debris begins flying everywhere and shoots into the truck, knocking Sarah unconscious. The girl wakes up as her father tries to pull her out of the truck. After they do, another car crashes into theirs, setting it on fire, and separating Sarah and Joel from Tommy. Since it's too dangerous to get around, the brother tells Joel to meet at the river outside of town. With no other options, Joel carries Sarah, who hurt her ankle in the crash and can't run. Moving through the alley, Joel comes upon a horde of the infected, busily devouring people. He tries to be quiet, but one of them notices and begins pursuing them. It chases the survivors through a restaurant, barreling after them as he narrowly avoided catching up to them. Running out of the building, it's about to reach the survivors outside of the restaurant, but is shot in the head. Joel turns and sees the soldier who rescued them. He tries to explain that his daughter is injured, but the soldier orders him to stand still as he radios his commander. Sarah worries about meeting with Tommy again as the officer gets a command back over the radio, but then the man aims his gun at them, intending to kill them. Okay, initially Joel was right to trust this military guy. In natural disaster situations, or when there's a threat to civilians, the military is supposed to help people fleeing from the threat, and Joel was just saved by this soldier, so it makes sense that he thinks he's no longer in danger. The soldier is supposed to help him get to safety, but there were subtle signs Joel could have looked for to realize this was not going to happen at all. The soldier tells Joel and Sarah to stay put, and uses his radio to call his higher-ups about what he should do with them. His whole tone changes, and he asks him to repeat the command. According to research done on communication at UCLA, only 7% of the communication is the actual words being said. 38% of it is the way a person says it, and 55% of communication is based on body gestures and language. Which means that I'm 38% positive that Joel here is screwed, because the way the soldier asks his commanding officer to clarify indicates he's disturbed by what the officers just told him to do. The soldier is also holding a gun pointed at the two of them, so based on the situation, I'm also 55% sure this guy's having the worst day on the job of his life, and at this point, protecting himself is priority number 1. The combination of his tone of voice and the gun pointed at Joel should indicate that it's time to run. The biggest problem here is that Joel doesn't have anywhere to go, or anything to hide behind. If he runs, the soldier could shoot him from a distance, and he has a long way to go before he's able to get to cover. His best bet is to drop Sarah and run at the soldier since he's closer to him, and hoping that the element of surprise works in his favor. However, Joel doesn't do this, and has to suffer one of the worst losses imaginable, to realize fungus isn't the only thing that can hurt you in this world. Realizing what's happening, Joel begins to run but is shot by the soldier. He falls down a slope and drops Sarah, who rolls away. The soldier stands as he falls preparing to execute him when he's shot dead by Tommy at the last second. Joel immediately runs towards his daughter, who has been critically injured. She's bleeding out from a wound in her abdomen. Joel yells at his brother to help, but Tommy doesn't. He stands there as the situation sinks in. In denial, Joel applies pressure to Sarah's wound and attempts to pick her up as she screams in pain. Slowly, Joel understands that he can't stop the bleeding, and his daughter dies in his arms. It's tragic, but soon he'll be going to a galaxy far, far away to get a replacement.
Mary, are you here? We gotta get ready.
Sorry, I'm late. Work was crazy.
We're hosting tonight.
What?
OLT.com is comprehensive and covers simple and complex returns with 100% satisfaction guarantee. Federal filing is free and state filing is only $9.95. OLT.com. Spend less time doing taxes and more time hosting friends.
There's a fungus among us, and it's officially infecting people's brains and trying to kill you on sight. Not only that, but there's something even more dangerous you may encounter. A human being who's willing to do anything and everything to survive this new post-apocalyptic world. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, how to survive, and how to beat the infected in the latest episodes of The Last of Us. In 2023, 2 decades after the outbreak of mutated cordyceps, which turned those infected into mindless zombie-like creatures, Joel here lives inside a quarantine zone in the area that used to be Boston, Massachusetts. He lives a seemingly quiet life as he copes with the loss of his daughter in the first days of the outbreak. In between menial sanitation jobs, he meets with his partner Tess. Together, they act as smugglers trying to eke out a living as a group called the Fireflies attempt to overthrow the authoritarian police state government, Fedra. Joel uses his position with the quarantine zone to play both sides of the field. He befriends Fedra agents and sells them illicit goods, smuggles supplies in and out of the quarantine zone, and on occasion, works to advance the Firefly cause, more for personal gain rather than political. Tensions are mounting across the quarantine zone as the Fireflies have become more active in their attacks on Fedra soldiers. Joel mostly tries to stay out of the way. Marlene, leader of the Fireflies, keeps a young girl, Ellie, chained inside of a room. Each day she comes to check on her, but refuses to let her leave. She claims Ellie's important, and her life cannot be risked in the city. The Fireflies are planning a large mobilization of all their agents in one section of the city, but their soldiers are getting restless. No one has explained why this is necessary. Marlene tries to keep everyone calm, but knows she's running out of time. Joel and Tess are in need of a car back and other supplies so that they can leave Boston and go in search of the man's brother Tommy out west. To gain these resources, they strike a deal with an unworthy source who rips them off. Joel and Tess plan to kill the double-crosser and steal the supplies. They sneak into the building where they believe he will be, only to find a blood bath. Marlene is there in the hallway with a gunshot wound, and they realize the dealer was attempting to sell the same broken supplies to the Fireflies. Now desperate and bleeding out, Marlene enlists Joel and Tess's help to transport the mysterious teenage girl, Ellie, out of the quarantine zone and into the abandoned city. The planned Firefly movements for the next evening should draw all the attention away from their exit. If they meet with a group of rebels at the old state capitol building, they can exchange Ellie for their supplies. With no other options and running out of time to find their threat, Tess convinces Joel to take the girl. The three set off the next night, making their way through the rainy, dark compound. They sneak through a concealed hole in the border wall. Finding out, they come face to face with a lone Fedra soldier and a gun pointed at their heads. The soldier recognizes Joel. He's one of his buyers, and the woman tries to make a deal with the man to spare their lives. The soldier refuses to bargain and begins to assess the situation, pulling out a scanning device to make sure none of the three are infected. As he approaches Ellie, she takes out a knife and stabs the man. Joel springs to action and pummels him, violently and repeatedly punching him in the face. Tess grabs the scanner, revealing its red screen. Ellie is infected with cordyceps. Panicked, Ellie screams that she's not sick. Neither Tess nor Joel trust her, but she reminds them that if they don't run now, they'll be captured and executed by Fedra. The three drop the argument for now and hurry away from the quarantine zone and into the ruins of Boston. Okay, we are not off to a great start. The mission has only just begun, and someone is already dead. Could this have been avoided? Marlene was wise to mobilize the Fireflies in such numbers that most of the Fedra agents would be focused on their activity rather than patrolling the border. Most, but not all agents. Unluckily for Joel, Tess, and Ellie, this agent was patrolling and was able to get the upper hand on the three of them. But what if they had gone a different route? Boston is a port city with many waterways. Would it have been impossible to use those? If the group had ventured out to the water, they could have swam or used a small boat to make their way around the peninsula to safety. There are a few pros to this maneuver. There is no knowledge of the infected being able to swim, so there should be no scuffles there. Also, this moves Joel, Tess, and Ellie further away from the Fedra and Firefly battle. There might be Fedra soldiers patrolling the shoreline or in the water itself, but Marlene's plan to distract the government seems to be working, so would it not also be applied to those agents if they exist? It's also more doubtful that Fedra would have many agents patrolling the water in the first place. If the infected cannot swim, they do not pose a threat then. This is also a post-apocalypse, and most of the threat to human life seems to come from the land. The chances of anyone using a watercraft to sneak around are minuscule. Moving through the water would be quicker for the group as well, as there's less danger. The route of circling the land rather than cutting across has far less physical obstacles to overcome. It is also night, so the ability to see far into the water would decrease. This would give Fedra a more difficult time spotting a lone boat. But this is the way that Tess and Joel decide to go. Could they have been prepared for this excursion? The pairs were smugglers by trade, which we understand from the way in which they talk with the soldier about their lives. This also means the soldier is aware of their dealings, and generally speaking, fine with them. He already profits from them as he buys medicine from Joel on a regular basis. Since this soldier knows what activities the two of them engage in, could they have bribed him for safe passage? Surely there's something he needs. We know he smokes cigarettes and perhaps uses other substances. Reaching an agreement about however much illicit goods the soldier wants could be beneficial. To give credit where credit is due, Tess does try to negotiate with the soldier. He demands that he gets free medicine and the entire earnings of the smuggling run that the two embark on. These are harsh demands to be sure, but they are something Tess and Joel could work with. It's logical that Tess and Joel have a good idea of where the soldier is stationed. Maybe there's some variation in the schedule, and he does not spend every night in the same spot. But Joel still talks with him regularly when he deals him cigarettes, so he also has access to this information. Earlier, the soldier warned Joel to stay inside and lay low in this night because Fedra was expecting a battle with the Fireflies. At the time, Joel did not know of Ellie's existence, and that he and Tess would be needed to transport her somewhere. Yet Joel could have pressed the soldier for more information, or found a way to contact him again once he learned of his new smuggling deal to get the information about what to expect and what pathways to use. Instead, Joel uses the time in between meeting Ellie and heading off on the trek to nap. That's a valid use of time, but perhaps not the most wise thing to do. Now that he, Tess, and Ellie are in this situation, they have few options. There's a gun pointed at the back of their heads. They have no real point. Even Tess is negotiating with this. Ellie makes a move by stabbing the soldier. This is not ideal as it leaves a dead body in their wake, but it is decisive action which gets the trio out of this sticky situation. Stabbing is not ideal because other Fedra agents will eventually find the body and have an inkling of what happened. They might not follow the group into the city. However, since the abandoned Boston is allegedly fairly dangerous, and a single soldier's body does not constitute an emergency, regardless of if this was the best way to handle the situation, it has been handled, and that's more power to Ellie for doing so. The next morning, Ellie wakes up to Joel and Tess armed and ready to kill her. They demand she explain the situation. Ellie reveals that the Fireflies believe she has a cure to the cordyceps infection. She was bitten by an infected person several weeks earlier, but never became infected herself. In fact, her bite mark is mostly healed. That's why Marlene the Fireflies wanted to get her away from Petra oversight, so they can study her case. Without much choice, Joel and Tess agree to finish taking her to the capital. Joel, however, refuses to give Ellie a letter. The trio make their way out of the building and trek silently through the city. It's Ellie's first time being outside of a quarantine zone, and she's surprised to find that most people are being infected. Her and Tess begin to bond, but Joel remains suspicious of her condition. They soon come to a crossroads. The most direct path to the capital is blocked by a mound of resting infected. Tess explains that all the infected in any area are connected through the fungus which infected them. A single infected can send signals to all the infected nearby, who will converge to that location, and it is therefore imperative to avoid disturbing any of them. The group is forced to cut through the History Museum to reach the capital. The museum had once been overrun by infected, but they seem to have died out long ago. They enter the museum and make their way to the top floor, planning to access the roof and cross the city that way. As they reach the final level, the clicking sound of the infected creeps in. They remain still as these creatures of blood and the waiting doesn't work for long, as the two infected begin attacking the survivors. Joel and Tess each fight off one, while Ellie scrambles for safety. The group splits up, but narrowly escapes the museum and kill their attackers. On the roof, Joel wraps Tess's injured foot with lecturing tape so they can keep moving. They finally arrive at the Capitol building and spot the Firefly's truck, but see no injuries. Sensing something is wrong, Joel moves to investigate. The truck is completely empty, and only a small trail of blood leads into the building, losing patience. Tess drags them into the Capitol, and it's there they stumble upon a scene of carnage. Inside are half set of explosives and weapons, surrounded by the dead bodies of the Fireflies. Joel and Tess conclude that one of the agents got infected and begin attacking the others, leading to a deadly shootout. At that moment, an infected man begins to move, so Joel fires a few rounds into him. But then they all realize that more infected will soon swarm the place. Tess begins to ransack the explosives, dumping over barrels of gasoline. She yells at the others to leave. She instructs Joel to seek the help of their friends Bill and Frank, but Joel doesn't want to abandon him. Ellie quickly realizes that Tess was bitten at the museum and doesn't have much time left before she turns. Tess reveals the bite mark on her shoulder, and Joel hesitates, but she forces them out moments before the swarm breaks down the door. As the infected rush through the building, Tess tries to ignite her failing lighter. The infected begin to stop and listen to the noise. One creature approaches Tess and kisses her. Its tendrils worm their way into her mouth. Finally, the lighter catches, and Tess throws onto the gasoline. Outside, Joel and Ellie watch the explosion. A few burning infected swarm out of the building and collapse a few feet away, and the two survivors turn to carry on towards the edge of the city. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and boy are things getting worse by the minute. This is not an easy situation to get out of. Navigating the ruins of Boston is more dangerous than any of these three really realized. Joel and Tess have decent knowledge of the challenge this task presents, and they do a good job, up to a certain point. Entering the History Museum was a risky move, but also necessary. The other pathway was a death trap. There were far too many infected for even three. It seems that previously Joel and Tess have used the History Museum. If possible, it would eventually stop some infected. There was still the unfairness, however, that at least one of them should supply the same advantage. It would have been worth everyone's time to try and find this alternate route, since the group, or at least Ellie, slept through the night with no problems. It does seem as though any Ephedra agents are probably trained. If they had been, the group would have been found already. Using this time to scout out a new path with Ellie asleep, or even once she was awake, would have been wise. The group did not do this though, and instead took the risky museum route. All was fine until they reached the top floor. Once those clickers attacked, Joel and Tess fought back beautifully. It might have been more useful to team up, but taking out each clicker one at a time also was not a readily available option. Still, working together might have prevented Tess from being bitten. When Joel and Tess defeat the final clicker and make it out of the History Museum alive, but not well, Tess hides her bite from him. This makes sense, as there seems to be little reason to interrupt the mission just yet, but it is somewhat concerning that Joel did not further inspect her or assess the situation. Joel obviously trusts Tess completely, but had he known about her bite, this would have changed things for the better. It's doubtful that Joel would have suddenly turned and shot Ellie, but could have made the decision to leave her in peace. This would have allowed the scene at the Capitol to play out differently. When the group arrive at the Capitol, they see only remnants of Firefly forces. This is a major red flag. Joel smartly investigates the scene and discovers the trail of blood leading inside. Being a man of caution, he likely would have investigated alone, or perhaps not at all. However, Tess's predicament propels her to rush ahead and drag Ellie inside. This sets off the mostly irreversible chain of events that lead to Tess sacrificing herself for the mission. On the other hand, if Tess had been upfront with Joel about her bite, she likely would not still be with the group, and could not rush them in the way she does. Even if she was still along for the ride at this point, since there's not yet a cure for the virus, she would maybe be in less of a rush to turn Ellie over, since the benefits Joel received from the deal no longer apply to herself. This is a tough moment to navigate since emotions are running so high, but Tess's misguided act spirals out of control. As we're hailing the horde of infected heading towards the Capitol once Joel shoots the creature already inside, Tess does something harsh but logical. Her death aids Joel and Ellie's escape, and also prevents her from ever turning into a mindless creature. She acts quickly, which gives the other two just enough time to get out. Had Joel and Ellie stayed to fight the horde, they likely would have been overrun and turned into infected themselves, along with Tess. In the woods a few miles outside Boston, Joel contemplates his loss, and Ellie waits for instructions. Finally, Joel emerges from his solitude to continue the trek, but he forbids Ellie from ever mentioning Tess's name. As the two walk on, Ellie questions how the cordyceps pandemic began. Joel explains the most likely theory is the fungus mutated, then entered into the supply chain of a major flower company, which inadvertently shipped infected products all over the globe. This allowed the virus to spread simultaneously in too many places to be contained. He talks about the start of the epidemic when all the civilians were rounded up and told they would go to quarantine facilities. Many, he says, were later killed when there was no room for them. Changing the subject, Ellie questions who Bill and Frank are, just as the two stumble upon a mass grave of murdered civilians. 20 years earlier, Bill hides out from the government at the start of the pandemic. He's a survivalist who, after evading capture, turns his old neighborhood into a fortress. He places traps throughout the surrounding woods, builds a passcode locked fence, and becomes self-sufficient. A few years into the pandemic, Frank gets stuck in one of Bill's traps. When Bill comes to execute him, Frank pleads for food and shelter, which Bill reluctantly gives. After dinner, the two begin to discuss their loneliness, eventually sleeping together, and Frank decides to stay with Bill for longer. Several years later, Bill and Frank are mostly happily living together and surviving in the fortified neighborhood. When Frank reveals he's made radio contact with someone in Boston, he invites the contact over for a meeting against his suspicions. Later, Tess and Joel arrive for dinner. Frank is elated by the company, but Bill is suspicious of the pair, which Joel returns. Over the years, Joel and Tess continue to drop in and trade with Bill and Frank. One night, Frank awakens to the sounds of gunfire outside. He rushes out and sees Bill picking off raiders just outside the fence using a rifle. Bill's other traps, including flamethrowers, take out some of the intruders. In the falling rain, Frank yells at Bill to get back inside, just as Bill gets shot in the abdomen. Frank drags him into the house and begins to operate him on the kitchen table. Bill passes out from the blood loss, but survives. Okay, the preppers do it best. Bill and Frank have an ingenious setup here. They need almost no help from the outside world to meet their basic needs. That did not stop Frank from forming a connection with Tess over the radio, a relationship that would come to save his and Bill's lives. When Tess and Joel have their first meeting with the couple, Bill makes it clear just how much he disapproves of this scheme. Joel was able to turn the tides in his favor when at the end of the visit, he offers Bill high tensile aluminum for the quarantine zone to help fortify the supply lines. Without this material, Joel predicts the fence will only survive a year from this meeting. Thankfully, no one has to find out if that prediction is correct, as Bill takes the material offer and upgrades the fence. This becomes crucial a few years later when raiders try to invade the neighborhood. Bill's meticulous planning gives them the upper hand in this situation. The raiders trip off motion detectors, which turn on flamethrowers of what seem to be Bill's own design. Not only do a few of the raiders catch on fire, but the others cannot cross the electrified fence. That still leaves them able to shoot from a safe distance if they have not yet been incapacitated by the booby traps. When Frank wakes up to the noise of gunfire, he rushes downstairs and arms himself. He grabs a small handgun, which is better than no gun, but perhaps this is a case of bigger being better. We know they have many weapons at their disposal, so Frank could grab a longer-range weapon to help defend his home. However, this decision is made under duress, and it is more crucial for him to get outside and assess the situation, so he grabs his handgun instead. Outside, Bill is shooting at the raiders with a rifle. This gun makes great sense as it allows him to exchange fire with the raiders from a greater distance. Yet even though he can do this, Bill chooses to fight off the raiders in the middle of the street. This is a poor decision because it gives him no protection from the raiders' gunfire. Where else could Bill have shot at the raiders from? He could have fired at them from his bedroom. That would give him a higher range, and thereby perhaps a stable shooting position for greater accuracy. It also gives him cover because of the building. However, the biggest downfall of this locale is that it would put Frank in the line of fire, and Bill certainly would not want that. This does not mean he has no option to shoot from other covered places, such as the downstairs or porch of the house. He could even go to a different building and stake out there. No other people aside from Frank are in this neighborhood, so any other covered spot would be preferable to standing in the street. The rain in this scenario presents another problem, as it's obscuring everyone's vision. This is helpful and harmful to Bill. Helpful because it's making it harder for the raiders to hit him, and harmful because it's making it harder for Bill to shoot them. This is probably why Bill goes into the middle of the street like he does. Bill might also be getting a little cocky about his skills in this scenario. When Frank runs out to pull him away from the action, Bill puts up a fight. In the moment, he does not see as much danger as is actually present, and the thrill of having adversaries is clouding his judgment as well. Thankfully, Frank recognizes the real danger of this situation. He could have acted differently had he gotten a different gun and exchanged fire with the raiders, but his love for Bill drags his attention there. This is a fine line to walk. While it's important to take care of the ones you love, it is also important to neutralize the threat. It would be very difficult to successfully do both, so Frank makes the choice to focus on saving Bill. He risks himself by running into the firing zone after Bill gets shot. The bullet that pierces Bill does make Frank's decision for him, as Bill is not much more likely to lose his life since he cannot fight back. The saving grace of the situation remains Bill's own survival instincts. The fortification, the fence, and flamethrowers provide allow Frank the option to pull focus from the raiders and put it on its loving. While Bill did the heavy lifting of both building the gate and traps years before, he also manages to kill some of the intruders before being incapacitated. His decision years ago to trust Joel and Tess and take the offer to Lumina, a decision that likely took a great deal of persuasion from Frank, saved his own life. By having such a strong fence, he can be taken inside and recover without fear of the raiders getting inside, rather than having to risk and likely lose his life to continue to defend his home. Now in 2023, Frank has become resigned to a wheelchair as his body is ravaged by a terminal condition. Bill still cares for him, but life is much harder for the couple. One morning, Bill wakes up to see Frank has removed himself from their bed, and he declares today will be his last day alive. Frank explains that he does not want to burden Bill with his existence anymore, so he asks for a final day together before Bill helps him move on from the morning coil. The man fights back tears but agrees, and the two spend a tranquil day together, even exchanging wedding rings. That night after dinner, Bill gives Frank poisoned wine as he requests, then reveals that he has done the same for himself. He doesn't want to live in a world without his love, and the two drink the wine, then go into the bedroom for the last time. A few days later, Joel and Ellie arrive at the fortress. The man grows concerned when he sees no sign of Bill or Frank. They enter the house and find a note on the table, which Ellie reads. It's a last will and testament Bill wrote. In it, he reveals that he left supplies for Joel should he ever need them. Joel begins to gather the supplies, including a truck. Both he and Ellie take showers, and the girl steals a small handgun while Joel isn't looking. After paying respects to his friends, the man gets Ellie into the car, and they drive away. Joel and Ellie continue west to find the man's brother, Tommy, who can hopefully help him get the girl to the fireflies and stop frequently to siphon gas from abandoned vehicles. As they drive, Joel explains that Tommy has also had the desire to change the world. Even before the pandemic, he joined the army before becoming disillusioned. Once society collapsed, Tommy convinced Joel to travel towards Boston with him. On that journey, they met Tess, and the three eventually formed a tenuous connection with the Fireflies. Now, Tommy has stopped responding on the radio. Joel assumes he has long since left the Fireflies to survive on his own, and vows to search as long as it takes to find him. He and Ellie spend the night in the woods, where Joel warns Ellie that strangers can be even deadlier than infected. The two begin to bond over a book of puns Ellie picked up along the way. The next morning, they arrive in Kansas City. An underpass cutting through the city center is blocked by vehicles, so Joel gets off the highway and drives through downtown. Ellie has trouble reading the map, and they find themselves lost. As they pass what used to be the quarantine zone, they notice a lack of Fedra soldiers. Just as Ellie points this out, an injured man appears ahead of them, immediately sensing a trap. Joel speeds ahead, almost hitting the man, and a raider on top of a building drops a cinder block on the truck's hood. The truck drives over a strip of tire spikes and careens into a store. The raiders begin to shoot at Joel and Ellie, who climb out of the vehicle and take shelter. Joel begins returning fire and instructs Ellie to climb through a hole in the wall to a secluded room. She does this as Joel kills one of the raiders. He takes out a second raider, and the third man runs to the store. The two get into a brutal fight for survival, but the raider gets the upper hand and starts choking Joel with his rifle. Ellie pulls out her knife, but then thinks better of it and gets the handgun she stole from Frank. She climbs back into the store and shoots the raider in the back. Getting the upper hand, Joel turns the tables on the man as the raider begs for his life. He pleads and says he won't tell anyone they're in the city. Joel tells Ellie to go back into hiding, and once she does, he uses the raider's own knife to kill him. Okay, you're gonna need another car. This is a terrible situation Joel and Ellie have found themselves in. There was no way that they could have known the situation in Kansas City, right? Well, except that later on, we find out that Joel has long heard tell of the Fedra forces of Kansas City being particularly nasty towards their civilians. To Joel's knowledge, Fedra would still be in control of the city and acting meanly towards the people, so why go through Kansas City at all? Joel and Ellie are now heading to Wyoming, having started in Massachusetts. Going through Kansas is not necessary for this journey. It would be possible for them to drive through Nebraska, and would even be a more direct route to their destination than passing through Kansas. We do not know exactly how many quarantine zones exist, nor how widespread Fedra is throughout the country, but if rumors of a particular quarantine zone being so despicable spread halfway across the continent, it isn't worth passing through. Yet Joel has driven to Kansas City. The intention to swiftly pass through by driving on the highways is a smart one, because we want to spend as little time in the city as possible. Sadly, this plan is thrown off course by an underpass blockage. Joel decides to turn the truck around and access a different highway. This was likely the best plan, since the blockage could be a raider trap or simply make them too noticeable to any Fedra forces that might be about. This is a situation where time is of the essence, both in their overall quest to get Ellie to the Firefly forces and Joel trying to find Tommy, as well as their immediate task of getting through this dangerous city. When trying to find a new route, Joel should have avoided going through the city at all. Ellie is not the most skilled with maps because, in her own words, this is her second day in a car. Joel should have looked at the map himself to devise a clear path of where to drive. If he backtracked out of Kansas City, he could have used service roads to bypass the entire place. This would take longer as it's less direct, requiring more twists and turns, but again, avoiding the city would almost guarantee the safest passage possible. It's doubtful that any raiders, Fedra agents, or rebels are as concerned with the very outskirts of the city, much less a single vehicle passing by. Cutting through the city presents a new array of problems, namely these raiders. Their ambush tactic is obvious to anyone with the knowledge of the evil in people, which Joel is. It's good to know that he recognizes so clearly what is going on when the injured man begins to call for help. It is also nice of him to tell Ellie to put on her seatbelt before he guns the truck at the man. Going full speed into a trap is unnecessary, however. It is obvious that there are other streets where they could take, and would avoid the ambush altogether. Going further had the unfortunate effect of subjecting their vehicle to both a cinder block thrashed into the hood, and tires being blown out by tire spikes. It does not appear that these raiders are working for any large group, which, if that's the case, then they are probably only setting traps on this single street. So again, the best option is to swiftly find another way around. Now, once Joel and Ellie are in the thick of this ambush, Joel handles the situation well. He gets Ellie to safety as soon as possible, and manages to exterminate two of the raiders without getting close to fighting them. Ellie also does the proper thing by not abandoning Joel and his men to leave. Had she remained behind the wall indefinitely during the fight, Joel most likely would have been killed by his attacker. Out through the city, Catherine, the leader of the group of rebels that have overthrown the Fedra outpost, interrogates him. This doctors information on the whereabouts of an escaped rebel, Henry, but he refuses to give up the information, even with a gun to his head, as she's about to kill him. Kathleen is interrupted by a guard who tells her they found out someone has murdered their men. She goes outside to see the bodies of the raiders that Joel killed. Using the fear of the other rebels, she motivates them to tear apart the city to find Henry. Then she returns to the interrogation center and shoots the doctor point blank. Meanwhile, Joel and Ellie hide in a new location as the rebels' convoy drives by. While they wait, Joel instructs Ellie on how to properly handle a handgun. He expresses guilt over forcing her into a killing situation, even though she didn't end the man's life. And the girl reveals it wasn't her first time killing someone. In another part of the city, The rebels find a house where Henry and his brother Sam had been staying. After looking around, Kathleen concludes the pair are almost out of food and will soon try to raid the group's supplies. She tells her forces to ramp up security and to protect their stores of food. Then, she and her right-hand man, Carrie, go into the basement of the building. Entering an abandoned storage room, they see the ground has caved in, but something beneath it is moving, almost like it's breathing. She tells Carrie to keep this a secret from the rest of the group, promising they'll deal with it after they find Henry and Sam. That night, Joel and Ellie make their way to the top of a skyscraper. They plan to spend the night there, then use the vantage point to find a way out of the city in the morning. After climbing more than 30 flights of stairs, they decide to rest. Being cautious, Joel sprinkles broken glass in front of the door, so they will hear intruders. Then, the two fall asleep. Later that night, Ellie wakes Joel up to see two survivors, Henry and Sam, pointing their weapons at them. 2 weeks earlier, the people of Kansas City overthrew their local federal regime. While the masses celebrate, Henry and his deaf younger brother Sam avoided resistance trucks in the streets. They make their way to meet Edelstein, a man who helps hide them until they can find their way out of the city. Meanwhile, Kathleen rounds up a group of collaborators, those who spy on their neighbors on behalf of Fedra. She interrogates them for information on Henry and Sam, which one person eventually gives. He informs her that they've gone into hiding with Edelstein's help. Kathleen orders all the collaborators killed and heads to find them. 10 days pass, and Edelstein has vanished, leaving Henry and Sam without help or a plan. The older brother decides they must make a run for themselves. As they prepare to do so, Joel and Ellie have their run-in with the raiders across the street. After the shootout ends and the sounds of gunfire stops, Henry devises a plan to get out of the city. That night, he and Sam sneak into the building where Joel and Ellie are sleeping. He holds them at gunpoint while explaining their need to team up. He knows the city and the escape route. Joel, without much choice, agrees, and they share a meal. In the morning, Henry explains his plan. They'll use the sewer tunnels to sneak into the suburbs, then cross the river, and they're all out of Kansas City. He explains that Fedra drove the infected underground at the start of the outbreak, and there's been no sign of them since. People have been afraid to venture to the sewers, but a Fedra contact informed her that the tunnels were actually clear of the infected. Joel distrusts the plan, but sees no other choice, and they all head to the sewers. Inside, they find a clear passage, just as promised. After trekking through the underground tunnel a while, they stop to wait until dark to exit the sewers. While they wait, Henry explains why he and Sam are so wanted by the Resistance. Years ago, Henry fell in with the Resistance and was willing to do anything necessary to overthrow Fedra, but then Sam fell ill with leukemia. The only medicine that would treat him was rare, so Fedra asked Henry to give them something equally valuable in return. Henry ratted on the leader of the Resistance, who was captured and executed. This paved the way for his sister, Kathleen, to take over and use the anger caused by this crime to push the Resistance to end the fight. Now she wants revenge on them both. Above ground, Harry finds Kathleen to give a status update. The Resistance cannot locate Henry or Sam, sensing that her forces are having doubts about her as their leader. The woman explains the loss of her brother has not weakened her resolve. She was always more decisive and violent than him. When she visited him before his execution, he asked her not to seek revenge, but she wants nothing more than to see Henry and Sam dead. That night, the 4 survivors leave the sewers and arrive in the suburbs. Ellie and Sam begin to let their guards down as they approach the edge of the city. Suddenly, someone begins firing at them. Taking cover behind a building, Joel spots the sniper at the top of a mansion at the end of the street. He instructs the others to stay put while he sneaks his way into the house. He heads towards the building as fast as he can, entering the room with the shooter, and opens the door to see an elderly man with a gun. Joel begs the man not to shoot, but the rebel tries to get a shot off, so Joel kills him. That's when he hears Kathleen's voice on the man's radio, revealing that she and the Resistance are almost upon them. Joel yells down for Henry, Sam, and Ellie to run for cover, just as the Resistance convoy arrives. Joel begins firing at the driver of the plow vehicle, and manages to kill him, causing the truck to crash into a building. With their targets cornered, the rest of the Resistance climb out of their vehicles, and Kathleen calls out for Henry to surrender. Henry tries to negotiate with her for the other's safety from the survivors, but knows she will never listen to reason. He tells Ellie to run with Sam to safety on his mark. Then he stands up and surrenders. Kathleen moves closer to shoot him when the plow truck suddenly sinks into the ground. From the sinkhole bursts a massive horde of the infected, and they charge at the humans as chaos breaks out. Henry, Sam, and Ellie use the distraction to make a run for safety, while the Resistance begin fighting for their lives. Ellie climbs to a car to avoid the horde before a small infected child creeps in and lunges at her. She manages to get out and trap the girl in there without any harm. Joel takes out some infected from his vantage point as Ellie moves across the street. Henry and Sam are trapped under a car as 2 infected claw at them. Acting quick, Ellie stabs both creatures, allowing the boys to escape. From the sinkhole emerges a grotesque, bulbous infected, which begins tearing through the Resistance. Harry forces Kathleen to run as the loader approaches and attacks him, tearing his head from his body. Ellie, Henry, and Sam make it to the front steps of the house at the same time as Kathleen, who pulls her gun on the way. Just as she prepares to shoot Henry, a creature pounces on her from behind. With nobody coming after them, the trio run out of there as fast as they can and escape with Joel. That night, the group takes shelter in an abandoned abandoned hotel. Ellie and Sam read comic books, while Joel and Henry discuss their next moves. He invites Henry and Sam to continue with them to Wyoming, which Henry accepts. Before going to sleep, Sam reveals a small bite on his leg to Ellie, hoping she can help. The girl explains that her blood has a cure in it, and smears some of her blood on his wound, without ever telling anyone that he's been bitten before going to sleep. In the morning, Ellie wakes up to see Sam sitting strangely in the bed. She goes over to check on him, but there's a cat. They tumble into the other room, waking up Joel and Henry. The older brother immediately grabs a gun and shoots the creature, but then realizes it was his own brother. He begins panicking as Joel tries to talk him down, but he fails, and Henry dies, leaving the survivors alone. Okay, this is one of the most upsetting things that could have happened. Henry, Sam, Joel, and Ellie have not done everything right, but they did do a lot of things well, particularly in the showdown with Kathleen, which became interrupted by the peekaboo infected horde. The group still held their own and made smart decisions. Prior to that moment, Ellie should have been quieter so as to not attract attention to the group. Joel uncharacteristically did not try to calm her down as she made their presence known in the suburbs, likely because he felt out of danger, and Henry and Sam's company was growing on him. Then, the elderly man started shooting, and things escalated very quickly. It was genius of Joel to remain in the house as he did, so that he could use this view to protect the rest of the crew. His position was fairly hard to hit and kept him protected from the infected. With that said, the others should have run into the woods, rather than straight towards the house when Joel told them to move. Seeking shelter was more useful in this moment than staying in the open. Kathleen and the rebels would have eventually gone into the woods looking for them, but perhaps not before the infected made their presence known. The three of them could have snuck around towards the bridge through these woods, and met with Joel in more secrecy and safety this way. At least Henry was able to stall for enough time for the infected to come and spice up the party. Once the horde broke out, everyone played their cards as best as possible. The scene was so chaotic that it is highly unlikely Sam would have gone out without being bitten. After the group reunited and made their way to the hotel, Joel should have checked everyone for injuries. He has done this many times after any violent action, and having done so then would have prevented a death. Again, there was nothing to be done for Sam after being bitten, though Ellie valiantly tried. But had others known about Sam's infection, things would have turned out differently. Henry would have panicked, but it is doubtful that Joel would have immediately turned his weapons against him and Sam. Taking risks with an infected person has not yet panned out, so Joel would not have wanted to keep Sam around. But if Henry had more clarity on the situation, he could have reacted better. Killing anyone would be hard. Killing your own sibling would be near impossible. Henry might have chosen to relieve Sam of the life of an infected, but could have had more time to process these emotions, since it took several hours for Sam to complete a transformation. Even that much longer could have saved Henry's life. He's a capable survivor and has a good head on his shoulders, but having made such a horrific decision under duress messed with his logical thinking, leading to his sudden death. Henry would have been a valuable asset to Joel and Ellie, but unfortunately in the heat of the moment, he did not listen to reason. He didn't fail anyone because Sam being bitten was not his fault, but he did fail himself in not being able to help the group take Ellie to the Fireflies, who might be able to find a cure. Later, Joel buries both bodies, and Ellie packs their bags. She refuses to talk about what happened, and instead just makes Joel point them in the right direction. They continue their trek now on foot towards Wyoming, unsure of what else lies in their path, but one thing is certain.
Crushes it!
They thought it was gone. With anyone else, it just might have been.
Rodriguez! At the wall! Impossible catch!
Oh, wow. She's been looking for an insight in that data forever. Oh.
Hi. I'm gonna find it.
Did you tell her about Sassfire? No, I thought you did.
I'm gonna tell her.
Oh, no.
The quickest way from a billion points of data to a point of view. Sassfire.
Pedro Pascal is definitely a dad. The vicious cordyceps infection turning humans into terrifyingly fast zombies keeps spreading with ferocity across the globe, but that's no longer your biggest threat. There are bloodthirsty survivors at every turn, ready to rob you blind and stab you in the throat. How can you ever hope to survive? I'm here to break down the successes, failures, and how to beat the apocalypse survivors in The Last of Us Season 1, Part 2. 3 months after surviving the harrowing horde attack in Kansas City, Joel and Ellie have made their way to Wyoming. They've become lost in the snow-covered woods, so they make a stop in an isolated cabin where an older couple lives. After separately interrogating the couple, Joel finds out they're very close to where he suspects Tommy lives. The couple warn Joel and Ellie not to venture beyond the nearby river, as those who do have yet to come back. Something worse than the infected reside there. As they leave the couple's cabin, Joel slows and grabs at his chest, having trouble breathing and experiencing heart palpitations. After a moment, they dissipate, and he continues on, not explaining his pains to Ellie. Joel and Ellie venture forward, trekking on foot through the forest. One night while camping, Ellie asks Joel what he most desires to do after the apocalypse is cured. He would own a sheep ranch and live in solitude, he explains. Ellie, on the other hand, says she wants to visit the moon. Then she reveals her doubt that a vaccine can be created from her blood, after she failed to stop Sam from becoming infected in Kansas City. Joel reassures her that the Fireflies know what they are doing. The next day, when they approach the Forewarned River, a gang of weapon-saddled horseback riders surround them. A man demands to know their intentions, which Joel lies about in order to conceal Ellie's purpose as the potential cure to the cordyceps infection. A dog is released to sniff out if either of them have been bitten, and Joel tenses up to fight the gang as the dog nears Ellie, but she distracts it with pets and kisses. Then, the leader stops the hostilities to ask Joel his name. Hearing it, she takes him and Ellie into their camp. Their camp is a fortified town in the mountains. As they pass to the center, Joel spots Tommy working on repairing a building. Tommy rushes down, and they are reunited. Maria, the horseback leader, takes the group inside the mess hall to eat. It's there that Joel finds out that Tommy and Maria are married. The couple take them on a tour, revealing that the town was previously a gated community that was abandoned in 2003 after the cordyceps outbreak. 7 years prior, Maria and a group of others began settling the area. It is home to more than 300 people. The government operates as a communist system, with Maria being one of the elected board members. The residents must keep to themselves, however, so as to not attract unwanted attention and invite raiding on the commune. Maria takes Ellie to clean up, as Tommy and Joel discuss their lives of the past several years. Joel confronts Tommy about his radio silence. After leaving the Fireflies, Tommy was rescued by the communists, who insisted that he remain as reclusive as possible to keep the commune safe. He reveals that he and Maria are expecting a child, so he lives his entire life much more cautiously, which has led him to losing contact with his brother. Joel cannot bring himself to congratulate Tommy on his expected child, instead promising to leave in the morning with Ellie. He storms out of the bar, but then begins to experience heart palpitations again. He sees a girl who looks like his daughter, which calms his pains. Ellie finishes getting showered and changed, and meets Maria, who offers her a haircut. As the two talk, Ellie brings up a small memorial in the house for 2 deceased children. Maria explains that one of them was her child, the other was Joel's. After seeing Ellie process this new information, Maria warns her to be careful who she puts her faith in. That evening, Joel and Tommy talk in secret. Joel asks his brother to take over his mission to deliver Ellie for him. Their new plan is to head a few days further west to an abandoned Colorado university where Fireflies have supposedly staked out. But Joel is plagued by fears of failing Ellie and memories of his daughter's death in his arms, which Joel witnessed. He explains Ellie's true purpose to Tommy, who reluctantly agrees to take her in the morning. Joel goes to Ellie's room to tell her the new plan, but she overheard the conversation between him and Tommy. They argue about it, but ultimately Joel walks out, content with his decision. That night, he again dreams of his dead daughter. The next morning, Ellie and Tommy head to the stables where they meet Joel. He explains he came to steal a horse and leave before the others, so as to avoid saying goodbye, but feels he owes Ellie a choice of guardian. She immediately chooses him over Tommy, and they say their goodbyes before heading out. After several days, Joel and Ellie make it to Colorado. They find the abandoned university, but only traces of the Fireflies, not the actual rebels. They search the building, seeing damaged medical equipment and a scribbled packing list. Alarmed by a noise from upstairs, they head towards it and find only some wild testing monkeys. Looking around, they discover a map pinned to a corkboard and deduce the rebels headed to Salt Lake City. That's when survivors hear a noise and look out the window to see a gang of 4 raiders heading into their building. They sneak out back, but as soon as they get to their horse, a raider charges at them. He swings a baseball bat at Joel, who dodges it, and it breaks against a tree. Joel tackles the attacker into a chokehold as Ellie aims her gun. Joel snaps the man's neck and drops his body, but then they notice the broken bat lodged into Joel's abdomen. He pulls it out and stumbles towards the horse as the other 3 raiders charge their way. Jumping onto the animal, Joel spurs it off as Ellie fires at the attackers. They manage to get away swiftly. Later, the horse slows down near a train track. Joel falls off and becomes wounded on the ground. Ellie tries to suppress the bleeding, but finds herself hopeless as Joel slips out of consciousness. Okay, Joel is on the verge of truly sacrificing his life for Ellie's survival. That's a noble move, but an unplanned one. It may be even unnecessary had different choices been made prior to this trek to Colorado. Ellie's choice to go with Joel instead of Tommy to Colorado is one made purely out of emotion. It's not a bad choice per se, but could have been more rationally made. Joel is very clear about his shortcomings and fear of failure. While not all of this is inherently irrational either, it should still be taken more carefully into consideration. Joel has been capable of protecting Ellie so far, though there have been half a dozen close calls. She also trusts him, which is a valuable connection she does not share with Tommy, having just met him the day before. As Joel expresses doubts about his ability to continue providing for Ellie, the safest choice becomes a team-up between the brothers. Though Tommy does not truly want to journey to Colorado, it seems he's willing to do so out of compassion for his brother. Joel cannot bring himself to abandon Ellie either, so all three of them should make the journey, right? This provides lots of advantages for everyone. The presence of 3 people with weapons and training offers more safety than only 2. If the journey was as safe as Tommy promised Joel it would be, then this is over-planning. But if the journey proves more dangerous, this could save someone's life. Once the group reaches the university and discovers that the Fireflies have fled the scene, it would be much more challenging for the Raiders to injure anyone. Simple math in this scenario puts the fight as 3 against 4, rather than 2 against 4. The group would likely still be able to sneak out of the building, but when the Raider comes to attack, he will have to battle both Joel and Tommy. One of them could disarm the Raider, while the other tackles him. As a team that has previously murdered people together, Joel and Tommy understand each other's methods and mannerisms. In a flight or fight scenario, this is invaluable. Even prior to being attacked by the Raiders, having another person to keep watch while the university is explored. After the attack, Tommy does not need to continue on with Ellie and Joel to Salt Lake City. Though this would continue to benefit them, he could return to Maria having saved his brother's life. Back at the commune, Joel explained Ellie's importance to the survival of humanity, so if Ellie were to ask, it's almost a given that Tommy would come along. It's too bad she doesn't. On their own, their sneaking out of the building leads to Joel only having to fend off one Raider rather than the group. This is a much smarter idea than attempting to hide from the gang, which would have meant staying indoors and limiting escape routes. Had Ellie shot the attacking Raider as soon as he appeared, he would have at least been stalled in swinging the baseball bat. The immediacy of the attack threw everyone off, allowing the man time to swing and miss and turn his blunt instrument into a shiv. Joel should have tried to defend himself in a way that allowed there to be more space between him and the man, rather than attacking him. This space would have allowed himself, but more likely Ellie to fire at the Raider and hopefully take him out without stabbing anyone. Once someone has a sharp instrument, it becomes imperative to stay away. The Raiders' swing and miss with the bat did turn the weapon more deadly, but also limited its use to something even closer range. When Joel attacked, he should have focused on the weapon in the Raider's hand. Disarming him is more important than fully neutralizing him at this moment. Joel obviously wants to preserve as much of Ellie's innocence as possible by not forcing her to kill people, but exceptions must be made. Her shot would not even need to be fatal, as Joel proves himself capable of killing someone without a weapon. She would only need to inflict enough pain to distract the man long enough to be disarmed and left in the dust. Ellie drags Joel into a house near the train tracks, leading the horse into the basement as well. Ellie tries to apply pressure to his stab wound, as Joel weakly pushes her away. He can barely speak, but tells her to leave him to die, insisting she go and find Tommy. Ignoring him, she races through the house looking for medical supplies, but is reminded of her past. In the time prior to meeting Joel, Ellie lived in the quarantine zone of Boston under the supervision of Fedra. She got bullied by some of the other girls, which often ended her up in trouble with the captain, and he attempted to get Ellie to fall in line by showing her the future she can have as a Fedra leader. That night, Ellie moped in her room when her friend Riley snuck into the room. She disappeared several weeks before, leading everyone to assume she was dead. As Ellie confronted her about her whereabouts, Riley admitted that she joined the Fireflies. They argued about the morals of the rebel group, with Ellie thinking they're nothing but selfish terrorists, preventing Fedra from restoring peace. Riley insisted they go on a trip together until she finally convinced Ellie to join her for an adventure. Begrudgingly, Ellie followed Riley out of the room and across town. On the way through Boston, they came across a dead body, from which they stole a bottle of liquor, before the corpse fell through the decaying building's floor. On the rooftop, they shared the liquor. Then, Riley pointed out a mall, which Ellie refused to enter because of rumors of an infected horde inside. Riley assured her of its safety and that there are 4 wonders she will show her tonight. They climbed down through a hole in the ceiling, entering the control room. Riley turned on the power in the building, lighting up the decrepit mall. It's the most amazing thing Ellie has seen, and the girl is blown away by an escalator, proclaiming it the 5th wonder of the mall. As Riley leads Ellie to the first stop, they pass by a lingerie store. They discuss the overconsumption of the 2000s before the cordyceps mutated. Riley makes a flirty comment about imagining Ellie in the lingerie. Ellie is guided to a carousel, which amazes her. The 2 girls got on to ride the horses and shared longing glances. Riley began to talk again about the Firefly Rebellion, explaining how they have taken power back for the people in some cities. Ellie asked her to come back and rejoin Fedra to restore peace that way. Riley revealed that before running away, she found out what her Fedra job assignment would be: sewage duty. She would be resigned to overseeing menial tasks with Fedra, but with the Fireflies, she was given responsibility and meaning. She won't return to being overlooked. They moved on to the next wonder of the mall, a photo booth. Inside, they gave stupid poses for the camera. Even though the photo strip was printed in faded ink, Ellie kept it anyway. The third wonder of the mall was the arcade. It's here that Riley and Ellie duked it out playing Mortal Kombat over and over. Ellie slowly getting better at defeating Riley. Elsewhere in the mall, a lone infected was awakened by the noise. After the arcade, they moved into a storage room where Riley had been camping out for the past weeks. She gave Ellie a gift, a book of puns. Then, Ellie notices a small supply of handmade explosives in the corner and realized Riley was fully committed to the Firefly's cause. Riley quickly defended the movement, saying she would never allow them to bomb anywhere near Ellie and never let her be hurt. But Ellie knew there was no way for Riley to secure this. She was just a lowly player in the rebellion. The girl walks away, but her friend follows after her and reveals that tonight was her last night in Boston before being relocated tomorrow to a new Firefly post. She tried convincing her boss Marlene to allow Ellie to come, but the woman refused to let her join. Heartbroken, Ellie stormed out of the mall. As she almost made it to the exit, she decided to turn back and see her best friend one final time. But then she heard screaming. Running through the maze of displays, she came upon a Halloween store. A mechanical toy made the screams, but Ellie finds Riley curled up by the display. She moved to comfort her, saying how much she'll miss her. Riley intended to redeem the night with a final wonder, and the two donned masks and danced on the display case. As they got closer, Ellie stopped dancing and took off her mask. Riley did the same and the girl asked her not to go. This time, Riley agreed and they kissed. Just as they parted lips, a crashing sound alerted them to something heading their way. At that moment, an infected burst into the store. Riley fired her pistol at it, knocking it down and giving them time to run. But the infected quickly caught up to them and pounced on Riley, knocking her down. Ellie grappled with the creature, stabbing it repeatedly in the side before being quartered against the display case. Riley regained her footing, grabbed the metal rod, and began to attack the monster, using the distraction. Ellie impaled the creature's head with her pocket knife, killing it. She led towards Riley to celebrate their victory, but Riley only stared at Ellie's arm. The creature bit her. Then she holds up her own bite on her hand. Ellie began destroying the store as Riley sank to the floor in defeat. Finally, Ellie joins her, and the two discuss their options. Either they take the easy way out, or wait until they turn into monsters together. Riley quickly throws out the first plan. Instead, they hold each other tight as they brace for their bodies to turn against them. In 2023, Ellie races through the house, searching for anything to help her stop Joel's bleeding. Finally, she finds a needle and thread in a drawer and rushes back down to Joel. He can barely move as she uncovers his stab wound and begins to stitch it back together. In a building somewhere in the wintry Colorado landscape, a man reads from the Bible to a group of mourners. He comforts a crying girl, assuring her that God will dry her tears and there will be no suffering for the dead. The girl asks when they can bury her father's body, which the man, David, says cannot happen until the spring when the ground is softer. The funeral disbands and David talks with his right-hand man, James, outside. James expresses the people's concerns over their diminishing food supply and makes it clear they're afraid, but David assures them he will find a way out and they stick with him. As the days pass, Joel's condition worsens. Ellie is running out of food. She takes matters into her own hands, using Joel's rifle to go hunting. In the snowy woods, she spots a deer grazing some yards away. She creeps into position, slows her breathing, and fires. The deer is hit, but manages to run away. Ellie follows its blood trail through the forest, but she doesn't get to the animal first. David and James find the deer corpse near an abandoned building and debate if they should try to steal it before the hunter comes along. Before they can take action, Ellie comes out from the trees, rifle aimed at their heads, yelling at them to back away. David begins to negotiate. He explains his tribe is starving and that they will be glad to trade supplies for some of the deer meat. Ellie lies that she's from a large group in need, but also sees a chance to save Joel, so she agrees to split the carcass in exchange for medicine. David takes the deal and instructs James to head back to town and get penicillin for her. After James leaves, David offers to build a fire while they wait. Ellie instructs him to drag the animal inside the building, then stokes the flame. Inside the shack, David tries to question Ellie about her situation, but she refuses to divulge anything. He tells her about how he found religion after the apocalypse. He never wanted to leave the group, but they elected him and set on their journey after their quarantine zone fell. Ellie questions his belief that everything happens for a reason, but he counters with an example. A few weeks prior, he sent a group of 4 to a nearby Colorado town to search for food. Only 3 came back, claiming the 4th member had been murdered by a man traveling with a young girl. Ellie realizes he means Joel and her, but before she can react, he yells to James to lower his gun.
Whether you're tinkering in your garage or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know Harbor Freight. And you can be confident knowing that at Harbor Freight, you can get quality tools at prices that work just as hard as you do. Because the only thing more satisfying than a job well done is a job well done, well under budget. Whatever you do, Do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Ellie whips around to see he's returned and is ready to kill her. David commands James to lower his gun and give Ellie the medicine. She takes it and runs off, leaving the deer carcass behind. James questions David's intent, but the man already has a plan. Ellie hurries back to Joel and frantically tries to decipher how to use the penicillin. She administers some right into his wound and then lays down next to him. In the town, dinner is prepared for the survivors there, and a man brings in a container of meat. The cook questions its contents, but he assures her it's venison. Thinking nothing of it, she adds it to the stew, with no idea it's human flesh. David and James drag the deer into the mess hall. The rest of the group looks on with confusion. The pastor confirms the rumors of Joel and Ellie, making it clear they'll be hunted down tomorrow. The murdered father's child shouts that they should kill the pair, but David walks over to the table, shoving her out of the chair, then sits for dinner and eats the stew. Meanwhile, Ellie administers Joel another penicillin shot and gives the horse water, but as she's taking in the scenery, she sees a flock of nearby birds flying away. It's a sign somebody has come, and she sneaks outside to survey the danger, spotting David's group of hunters. Terrified, she runs back down to the basement where she's keeping Joel. Giving him a knife, she tries to wake him, but he can barely open his eyes. She tells him of the danger and that she will try to lead the hunters away from here, but he must defend himself if anyone finds him. She goes back upstairs and blocks the basement door with furniture. She mounts her horse and comes upon the group from behind. She fires her pistol at them and gallops away, while David instructs the group to capture her alive. The men scatter and Ellie rides through the neighborhood, exchanging gunfire. One of the men shoots her horse, throwing Ellie off and knocking her nearly unconscious. The men come over, and David and James take Ellie back to town, while the others stay to look for Joel. Okay, run, Ellie, run. Ellie's more on her own than she's ever been. With Joel nearly comatose in the basement, she has to use only her wits to save the both of them. When Ellie met David and James the day before, she made a good deal to get penicillin for Joel. Getting the penicillin was a double-edged sword in many ways. Yes, she could save Joel's life, but as a side effect of the trade, she had to spend an uncomfortable amount of time with David. This was her only viable option to prevent Joel's death. Simply waiting on him to naturally recover would not have worked in their favor. Unfortunately, she also lost all the deer meat and alerted David to her and Joel's existence. However, these were not wasted moments. They provided her with crucial information, though she didn't have the forethought to use it. David's comments about the death of their group member whom Joel killed should have been a flashing siren to Ellie that danger was on her doorstep, especially once David let her go with the medicine, and this move makes little practical sense. David's cult is suffering and short on supplies. A tactful leader would find a way to get the deer for food and keep the medicine for whenever it's needed. Had Ellie been able to assess the situation from a calmer vantage, she would have seen that she had far from seen the last of David. Knowing this, she should have spent the night preparing. Joel has the map that he's been using throughout his journey, while Ellie is not the most skilled with maps, as we learned right before things took.
The Supercross video game is back, baby. Let's do this. Count me in. I'm game. Are you?
In the world of zombie horror, it doesn't get much more iconic than Resident Evil, but if you've only played the games and never seen the movies, then let me tell you, you need to give these bad boys a chance. What you're about to witness is some of the most badass mid-2000s action that's ever been put to screen, with everything from secret labs to laser hallways, zombified dogs, Frankenstein with a rocket launcher, a global outbreak that turns the whole planet into a Mad Max apocalyptic wasteland, and of course, more zombies than you can shake a severed leg at. So get ready for one of our most jam-packed episodes yet, because we're here to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat every T-virus monster in Resident Evil Parts 1, 2, and 3. It's an ordinary morning for the workers at the Umbrella Corporation, the world's top supplier of technology, medicine, and secret genetic experiments. But little do they know that it's about to be their last day on the job. You see, somewhere deep in the facility, one of the scientists accidentally drops a glass capsule containing the genetically engineered T-virus, causing the entire place to go into lockdown. The lab doors seal shut, locking everyone inside, while another group ends up trapped in an elevator as alarms begin to go off all around the building. Suddenly, the lift breaks free, sending them plummeting towards the bottom of the shaft, but luckily they're saved by the emergency brakes. No one has any idea what's going on, and that's when the facility's AI caretaker unleashes a deadly gas, killing everyone inside. The only workers left alive are the ones stuck in the elevator, and panicking, one lady decides to squeeze through this small gap. But that was her biggest mistake, because a moment later the lift suddenly rockets up to the next floor, taking off her head before the others can pull her back. Okay, it looks like these nerds just got a surprise demonstration of the Umbrella Corporation's retirement plan. You know, even without a killer AI on the loose, trying to squeeze through the tiny gap of a stuck elevator is one of the dumbest things that you could possibly do. It might be stable right now, but if it breaks loose again while you're halfway out, then you'll be horrifically sliced in half like a salami sandwich. And that's why, instead of panicking, what you need to do is stay calm and think about your options logically. If the emergency brakes have already kicked in, then there shouldn't be any immediate danger, and you'll have plenty of time to just sit still and wait for help. But if I had to find my own way out, then I would just try going up. Just like most elevators that you'd find inside any commercial building, these lifts actually have an emergency access hatch in the ceiling. Now, these hatches are usually locked for safety reasons, but since the elevator was stuck between floors, I would have tried to find a way to get it open, and then climbed up to the next floor from there, which should be much safer than sticking your head into the office version of a saw trap. They'd also already fallen all the way to the 3rd floor, so if the elevator suddenly came loose again, then they'd only have to fall another 2 stories before hitting the bottom. Most elevators are built with shock absorbers at the bottom of the shaft, which aren't designed to save you from a full speed impact, but should definitely reduce the damage compared to crashing into solid ground. Now, if that happened, then what you'd want to do is lie flat on the floor to evenly distribute the impact across your body and cover your head with your arms or a jacket to give yourself the best chance of survival, which is good to know because I always thought that you were just supposed to try jumping at the last possible second. But what these poor Umbrella minions will never know is that this was no accident. Somebody intentionally caused this lockdown, and now it's time to find out why. Hours later, this blonde woman Alice wakes up on the floor of an extremely fancy bathroom with a bad case of amnesia. She can't remember who, where, or why she is, but as she looks around, she realizes that she's in a giant empty mansion somewhere on the outskirts of a city, and she gets the feeling that she's not alone. Suddenly, a man grabs her from behind as a squad of heavily armed soldiers comes blasting in through the windows, restraining them both as they start clearing the building one room at a time. The leaders seem to recognize Alice as a fellow soldier, but the police officer Matt here isn't with them. And after discovering that she has memory loss, they hustle the two of them through a secret door hidden behind a mirror, leading them into a state-of-the-art underground facility. Boarding a cargo train, they're surprised to find another civilian trapped on board. When Alice sees him, she instantly recognizes the man as her husband. But something about it all feels suspicious, and noticing that he has the same memory loss as her, she decides not to say anything about it for now. They eventually make it to the facility's main entrance, where the group's leader, Shade, breaks down the whole situation. It turns out that Alice and her husband are both employees of Umbrella Corporation, posing as a married couple while guarding one of the emergency exits to the Hive, which is Umbrella's top secret underground base. After the lockdown is triggered, the facility's AI caretaker, the Red Queen, went rogue, releasing the nerve gas that gets everyone killed inside, and now all communications from the base have gone dead, so they've been sent to figure out what happened. Carefully making their way past the doors, they find the place completely abandoned with no signs of life, taking the stairs until they reach the labs deeper in the heart of the structure. A flooded section cuts off their original path, forcing them to take another route through a giant room full of strange, human-sized cages. The gas seems less concentrated this far down, so a few of them stay back to look for survivors, while Shade and the others continue on to the Red Queen's chamber. Everything seems normal at first, but as they're bringing the EMP device through the final hallway, the doors suddenly lock behind them, sealing the team inside. Just then, they notice a blue laser hurling towards them from the other side of the tunnel, but one of the soldiers isn't quick enough, and it slices her head completely off. Another laser comes at them low, but when the guy tries to jump over it, it moves up and cuts him in half. Shade dodges it by holding onto the vents, but the last one transforms into a grid that he can't escape from, and it slices him into pieces just as they finally get the doors open again. Okay, talk about waking up on the wrong side of the bathroom floor. I guess Alice just skipped Wonderland.
When was the last time you had a real meal? With hearty steak and big shrimp, cooked over a roaring flame? Speaking of flames, why are you still single? Have you eaten yet?
Man's fear of darkness is imprinted in our genes. In the absence of light, we become prey, hunted by nameless dangers and unknown fears.
Where do you think Havoc's boss went?
Dead, probably.
And who's paid their soldiers? Who's there?
We try to seek solace by the faint light of fire.
Where is that noise from?
But a deal was made with the dark. And the darkness became a weapon. There's no waiting for the protection of dawn. A winner must be crowned tonight.
Hostiles detected.
And went straight to hell. But at least she's still alive. Meanwhile, Shade here couldn't even make it past the first QuickTime event. Sorry, bro, but it looks like you just f***ed up. You know, for one of Umbrella's top agents, I gotta say that I'm a little bit surprised that you did not see this coming. That cage room was the first sign that you couldn't trust anything about this place, because according to your maps, it was labeled Dining Hall B, and if Umbrella didn't even give you an accurate map before sending you in, then you better be expecting the unexpected. But even knowing that the AI would just try and stop you, you just led your whole team right into the most obvious trap of all time. I mean, come on, man! A hallway with electronically locking remote-activated doors at both sides? And it's the only way to get to her mainframe? You might as well start believing in the Tooth Fairy again if you can't see the problem there. And the worst part is that Chad could have completely prevented this. He said himself that the Red Queen was making it difficult, so before stepping into this obvious death trap, you should have had him check for any booby traps first. I mean, he was able to shut them down from his end only a few seconds too late, so if you had just given him more time, then you might still be alive. Instead of trapping everyone inside together, you could have tried passing the EMP through on a cable or a rope. That way, no one would have to be in the hallway at the same time as the device. But honestly, I'm starting to doubt your credentials here. I mean, now that I think about it, it makes sense that Umbrella wouldn't risk their best guys on a job like this one. But you know what the most embarrassing part is? You didn't even make it long enough into the zombie movie to see a single zombie. And that's how I know that you really f***ed up. Oh no, vampires, werewolves, and ghosts? Well, two of those things you have to worry about, but when it comes to ghosts, especially cyber ghosts, you can trust them. That's right, I'm talking about our friends over at CyberGhost VPN. These guys are a top-tier service that encrypts your data, ensuring secure internet browsing. Boasting over 38 million users globally, CyberGhost VPN is a highly regarded option. Its stellar Trustpilot rating further affirms its users' high satisfaction. You see, a VPN is crucial for safeguarding your online privacy. Your ISP, public Wi-Fi, and even websites can track your online actions. CyberGhost VPN eliminates this risk by encrypting all your traffic and masking your IP address, granting you complete anonymity. Furthermore, CyberGhost VPN enables simultaneous protection for up to 7 devices, allowing you to share it with loved ones, effectively securing all of your devices. Additionally, CyberGhost VPN unlocks region-restricted content on platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime, which is super clutch for someone like me. Simply switch your virtual location in a few clicks to access the US library or other unwatchable content in your area. It really is awesome. You can choose from 100 different countries and get up to 40% more content from your streaming library. Look, if you're still hesitant, which I don't know why you are, CyberGhost provides a 45-day money-back guarantee alongside an 84% discount and 4 months free via the link below, so it's totally risk-free. This is a fantastic chance to bolster your privacy and access a world of content out there. Don't delay. Click the link in the description and begin browsing safely with CyberGhost VPN. Don't forget to click on the description link to get the special discount CyberGhost VPN is granting to our channel users. That's right, Meat Shields. This application will protect your data while you browse and give you full access to all blocked content on the internet for $2.03 a month only. Totally risk-free, so check it out. Link is in the description. Seeing that the Red Queen's defenses are down, the team's computer expert Chad nervously picks up the EMP, still determined to finish the mission, but this time they're able to get inside. As they're putting together the device, a hologram appears warning them not to shut her down, but he ignores her advice and hits the button, cutting off power to the entire facility. This instantly releases all of the doors that the Red Queen was keeping shut, but what they don't realize is that they've just released something much worse. On the floor above them, the others notice that their friends are running late, and this soldier Rain here goes to investigate a suspicious noise. To her surprise, she finds one of the scientists leaning against the wall. But as she reaches out to help her, the woman suddenly bites a chunk out of her hand. Pulling her away, her partner JD tells the woman to get back, but when she refuses to listen, he reluctantly fires a round straight through her knee. They're shocked when the woman just keeps coming at them, acting like she didn't feel a thing, and Rain blasts her so hard that she goes flying backwards to the other side of the room. The others come running to see what happened, but that's when they hear the sounds of more survivors approaching, and as they look around, they realize that they're surrounded by a horde of shambling zombies that are slowly closing in from all sides. Another one lunges for Rain, but she snaps its neck with her bare hands, and this time it actually stays down. Everyone else starts opening fire, but they quickly realize that their bullets are not working, and in the chaos they accidentally trigger a large explosion, forcing them all to split up. Alice saves the police officer Matt just as something in one of the cages starts to break free, while JD enters the code to unlock another door. But when it happens, there's already another horde of zombies waiting on the other side, and he's dragged into the crowd before anyone can save him. Their only choice is to take cover back inside the Red Queen's chamber, while Alice and Matt end up lost somewhere else in the base, but soon they're going to realize that the army of living corpses is just the start of their troubles. Okay, it looks like they've just met the other residents of this facility, and now that the Red Queen is shut down, these zombified scientists are the only thing standing between them and freedom. The trouble is, they still don't know what these creatures even are, but this encounter just gave them a lot of important information to work with. First, they can't trust anyone they find down here because chances are that they're one of the monsters, so I'd be careful to keep my distance from any more survivors that they might encounter. That is until they're absolutely positive that they aren't a threat. They've seen that they attack humans on sight, but instead of using their hands or any weapons, they pull you in close enough for a bite, so whatever they do, the key is to stay away from their mouths. The most shocking part about them is that they don't seem to feel any pain, or even react to being shot. The only ones that stopped were the ones that got hit in the head, or had their necks snapped, so from now on, they need to aim for the brain. Now, even without knowing that they're zombies, this actually makes logical sense considering everything they've just seen. No normal human could sustain a shot to the knee or chest without showing any signs of damage. So they need to treat these survivors as some kind of biological anomaly. But one thing always remains the same. Every human, and almost all animals, rely on their brains to control their basic motor functions. So if their brain is destroyed, or their spinal cord is severed, this completely shuts down their body's ability to make even the most basic movements, making them dead again, but for real this time. From now on, they need to start targeting their heads only, which should help them conserve more ammo and take the creatures down before anyone else gets turned into some cafeteria food. After getting separated, Alice finds herself wandering through a kennel where it looks like all of the dogs have already turned infected and escaped. All of a sudden, she looks behind only to see a zombified Doberman appear from around the corner and quickly takes cover in one of the labs as the beast rushes towards her. Slamming the door, she's attacked by another zombie as soon as she turns around, but somehow throws a nasty flying kick that snaps his neck and launches him to the other side of the room, surprising even herself. It turns out that she's not such a pushover after all, and grabbing his weapon, she manages to escape back outside just as the dog crashes through the window, but the battle is not over yet. Turning around, she's faced with another 7 of the snarling monstrosities blocking her only exit, and as they lunge toward her, she expertly headshots them one after another until only the original dog is left. Now she's out of ammo, but springing off the wall, she meets it midair with another neck-snapping kick, proving that she's only getting stronger as her memories slowly come back. Meanwhile, Matt wanders off to another lab where it seems like he's looking for something. Checking the desks, he eventually finds one that belongs to a woman named Lisa, and that's when the scientist comes shuffling up behind him. But he quickly realizes that she's been turned into a zombie as well. He's saved by Alice, who takes the woman down with a smack to the back of the head, and heartbroken, he reveals that Lisa here was actually his sister. The two of them had been working on a story to expose Umbrella from the inside, and strangely, Alice gets the feeling that she knows the woman as well, but something must have gone wrong before she could escape with a sample of the virus. They manage to make it back to the Red Queen's chamber without the zombies tearing them apart, but they're cut off in every direction with nowhere left to go, and that's when the soldiers reveal that they're running out of time. The base's fail-safe protocol is set to permanently seal the doors if the team doesn't make it back within a certain window, which means that they'll be trapped down there forever if they can't find a way out within the next hour. Thinking it over, Alice gets an idea and goes back to reboot the Red Queen in the hopes that she can help them find a way out. As a backup plan, she tells Chad to bypass the system's circuit breaker, allowing them to completely fry the AI's hardware with a remote switch just in case she turns against them. First, they want to know what's up with the man-hungry scientists, and the program explains that they're actually the living dead that have been reanimated by the T-virus after it escaped containment. The only way to kill them is by severing or destroying the brain, and anyone who's been bitten or scratched will become infected and eventually turn. Oh shit, yo. This is not good. Now that they've activated the Red Queen, she's about to show them a path out of her chamber through the service tunnels. But that still doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, and they'll need to be very careful if they're going to survive. Now, before leaving her chamber, I'd first try to get as much information as possible from the AI. I'd want to know things like an exact breakdown of the best route, any alternative paths that we could use, and how many zombies we might expect to encounter along the way. I'd also ask if there were any areas where they could find useful equipment, like more weapons and ammo, or body armor to protect from bites. Oh yeah, and speaking of being bitten, they've just learned that anyone who gets a bite will eventually turn. And knowing this, I'd put Rain here at the front of the group. You know, you can only be bitten and infected once, but the more of them that become infected, the lower their chances of survival. This makes Rain like the group's meat shield, because she has nothing to lose if she's bitten again. Next up, I'd put Alice right behind her, because she can use her combat skills to take down any threats, and her slowly returning memories of the place to help them navigate. Now, the safest bet is to move carefully in short bursts, clearing the tunnels one area at a time before moving on. Now, to conserve ammo and stay as quiet as possible, Alice should go for stealth kills whenever she can. Too much noise will draw unnecessary attention, and too many zombies could easily overwhelm them in the tight confines of the tunnels, but keeping a low profile should help them get back to the surface in time. After learning that they'll fry her if she doesn't cooperate, the AI agrees to help them find a way out, opening a hatch in the floor that leads down into the service tunnels. They're carefully making their way through without hitting any trouble, but an argument between Rain and the mystery man accidentally draws the zombies' attention, and they realize that there are just as many down here as there were above. In an instant, they're completely surrounded with nowhere to run, and their only choice is to climb onto the pipes while Alice holds them off with her fists of fury. But as Chad tries to reach them, he's bitten in the leg by one of the zombies before he can pull himself up. Somehow, they all manage to survive the onslaught, but a few of them are badly injured and they're about to be out of bullets. The others are starting to lose hope, but Alice isn't ready to give up yet, and they crawl along the pipes until they reach a large room with only a few thin supports holding them up. Matt crosses to the other side and kicks through the gate, but just as Chad is about to follow them, the cables suddenly give out, causing him to drop straight down into a crowd of zombies. There's nothing that anyone can do as he fights for his life, but he makes it to the top of another collapsed section where the monsters cannot reach. The others desperately try to come up with a plan to save him, but knowing that it's too risky, he tells them all to just keep going, and they have no choice but to leave him behind. Hearing a shot go off, they're convinced that he's gone, but really, he uses his last bullet to take out one of the zombies and starts crawling along the pipes, determined to survive for as long as he can. Okay, Chad here might be screwed, but it's a good thing that he didn't give up yet for a few reasons. First of all, he's still carrying the button that lets them remotely fry the Red Queen, and without it, his friends won't have a bargaining chip to use against her. The smartest thing would have been to throw the button to the others before they left, but now it looks like they've lost it unless they somehow find him again. Now, with that being said, there are still some important ways that he can help his friends make it out alive. Since he no longer has to fear being bitten, he should try where he can access the main computer systems. From there, he'll have full control over all electronics in the base, allowing him to use his technical skills to help them escape. Like, for example, he can keep an eye on his friends by watching them through the security cameras, and using his radio, he can warn them if they're ever about to enter a dangerous area, or even tell them some options for alternate paths. He could also unlock doors for them, reseal areas with very large groups of infected, or set off lights and alarms as a distraction to lure crowds of zombies out of their way. Now, besides the zombies themselves, the biggest threat to his friends is that they'll be trapped down here forever if they don't make it to the exit in time. But if Chad can locate a junction box, or a backup generator that's tied to the main door's control system, then he can cause a short circuit or power overload which could prevent the doors from sealing shut, saving the others before they're locked down there forever. The others emerge near the lab where the T-virus was first created, and as Alice's memories come flooding back to her, she remembers that they also developed a cure. Turning to Matt, the woman finally admits that she was the one helping his sister, but swears that it wasn't her who betrayed them, although she still can't remember everything that happened. Checking the lab, they're frustrated to discover that the samples are already gone, but that's when Alice's partner finally remembers who he really is. It turns out that he was the one who betrayed them after learning about their plan, stealing the virus to sell back on the black market, and intentionally causing the outbreak that locked down the facility. But just as Alice makes the connection, he grabs a pistol and orders them all to stay back. As for the samples, he's got them all in a case back on the train, and the only reason that he didn't get away with it is because of the nerve gas knocked him out before he could escape. Just then, a zombie suddenly emerges from the water right behind him, biting Spence on the side of the neck, but after fighting it and leaves the others trapped inside. He makes it all the way back to the loading dock and starts preparing a dose of the antidote for himself, but just as he's about to use it, a terrifying creature with massive claws and a whip-like tongue appears from a hole in the ceiling. Pouncing on top of him, the monster tears the man to shreds while the others watch through a screen in the lab, and after consuming his DNA, it begins to mutate into an even more powerful form. The others are still trapped with no way out of the lab, but that's when the Red Queen offers them a deal. She'll tell them the code to unlock the door, but they have to get rid of the infected soldier first. They only have seconds to decide before the creature breaks in, but suddenly the computers go dead, and someone opens the door from the outside. It's Chad, and he just fried the AI for good, saving their lives just in time. Okay, my boy Chad here just earned his name, but they're still not safe yet. I mean, they still have to reach the exit before the lockdown, and now to make matters worse, there's some kind of horrifying T-virus mutant standing in their way. Now, because of its mutations, the liquor here doesn't have any eyes, meaning that it only hunts by sound and smell, so as long as you stay quiet, there's a chance that you could just sneak around them. If it notices you, then you're in a lot of trouble, but as long as they're smart, there's a way that they might take this thing out if it attacks them again. They've just seen that the monster will attack anyone it encounters, even someone who's already been infected. They also learned that the longer since someone's been bitten, the lower the chances that the antidote will work. Instead of trying to waste the antidote on Rain or Chad, one of them could load both of their doses into the syringe, and then make a bunch of noise to lure the creature towards them. While the others escape, they can hit the creature with a large dose of the antidote, destabilizing its mutating cells, and even if this doesn't kill it, it should at least distract or weaken it enough to give their friends a fighting chance. They make it to the station where everyone quickly climbs aboard, but as Alice reaches for the antidote, she's attacked by a zombified Spence, using her axe to put an end to this creep once and for all. Now that they have the case, they give each of the infected soldiers a dose, but they're worried that it might be too late. All of a sudden, the monster pounces onto the outside of the train and starts slashing at them through the walls, injuring Matt with one of its claws. They can't push the vehicle any faster, and while Chad is at the controls, it suddenly tears off the door and pulls him into the tunnel. Matt tries to lock it outside, but it quickly gets through, grabbing Alice with its tongue and knocking her to the ground. Running to a cargo net full of metal posts, he knocks the monster back and gives Alice a chance to pierce its tongue through a grate in the floor. All they have to do now is open the hatch, but as Matt turns around, he's confronted by the now zombified Rain, forcing him to take her down with a headshot as her body falls and hits the button. The monster struggles to hold on as the hatch opens, but eventually falls through and bursts into flames as it makes contact with the electric rail, holding on by its freakishly long tongue until Alice finally closes the door and cuts it off. Rushing to the surface, they make it out with only seconds to spare as the doors permanently seal shut behind them, but their nightmare is not over yet. Alice here is heartbroken over the fact that she couldn't do more to save the others, but Matt reassures her that it's not her fault. He's starting to succumb to the infection as well, but just when he's about to take the antidote, a team of Umbrella scientists kick down the door, and they are not here to save the day. Although she tries her best to fight back, the scientists eventually manage to take her down, and they take Matt off to be used in something called the Nemesis program. But it won't be the last time that these two will meet. As for Alice, she's taken to the Raccoon City Hospital where Umbrella continues testing on her in one of their secret labs, until one day when she wakes up to find the place mysteriously abandoned. It turns out that the scientists reopened the lab to see what was inside, and now the infection has already spread to the entire city. Back at the hive, the scientists open the doors only for them to immediately be attacked by a horde of zombies, and realizing that an outbreak was imminent, Umbrella quickly dispatched recovery teams to evacuate all of their most valuable assets, including their top researcher, Dr. Charles Ashford. Another team was sent to retrieve his daughter Angela at school, but they didn't make it out, and no one has heard from them since. 13 hours later, Officer Jill Valentine, who's currently on suspension from the Raccoon Police Department Special Tactics and Rescue Squad barges into the station and takes out the zombies that her clueless partners were trying to arrest. She's already encountered the infected once before in the Arklay Mountains and warns everyone that they should just get out of the city while they still have a chance. By nightfall, Umbrella has the entire city closed off, with the only exit being across a single heavily guarded bridge. Jill meets her friend Sergeant Wells near the gate, but just then, a man turns infected and bites his leg, forcing her to kill the zombie in front of the whole crowd. Refusing to let the virus escape, the leader Major Kane decides to stop letting anyone get through, closing the gate and leaving hundreds of people trapped on the other side. They're given 5 seconds to leave before the soldiers open fire, and with nowhere else to go, their only choice is to run back into the zombie-infested city. Okay, it looks like Umbrella just left everyone in Raccoon City for dead. I thought the whole point of sealing the hive was that they'd never open it again, but these assholes just keep making the situation worse. And now the super cop and her friends have to get the hell out of town before the zombies turn her into a Jill sandwich. They've got their work cut out for them because the infected have completely overrun the streets, and Umbrella closed off every exit, including the bridge. But that doesn't mean that they're out of options. If I were put in Jill's situation, my first thought would be to try getting out using the city's sewer tunnels. These should be easy enough to get inside through any manhole cover or public works access point, and there's almost no chance that Umbrella has control over every underground route. In a mid-sized American city like this one, the sewer systems usually begin in residential or commercial areas and then eventually funnel downwards towards the water treatment plant, which is almost always located well beyond the outskirts of the city itself. This makes jumping into the sewers a perfectly viable route to get underneath Umbrella's fence. They would just have to be careful not to run into any giant man-eating tadpoles while they were down there. Otherwise, I'd look for an area that's as far away from any Umbrella checkpoints as possible, and then try to either go over the fence with a rope or straight through it with any tools that they can scavenge up. But finding a way out of the city isn't even the hardest part, because first, they'll still have to survive long enough to just get there. With his injured leg, Wells is going to slow them down, but one possible way around this is to find an abandoned car that's still running and use it to get them as far as it can. Otherwise, they'll want to stay off the major roads, since the crowds and noise are going to attract zombies, and quietly navigate through side streets and alleys instead, keeping the lowest possible profile that they can so they won't attract any attention from the undead or the Umbrella soldiers. Now, Wells here might be her friend, but the more time that goes by, he'll eventually start to become a liability, so as cold-blooded as it is, I'd already be putting him at the top of their meat shield list and start mentally preparing to leave him behind when he finally starts to turn. Now that they've completely lost control, Kane tells Dr. Ashford that they need to evacuate, but the man refuses to leave until they've found his daughter. Going to his computer, he logs into the Umbrella servers and tracks the girl's location back to her school. Now he just needs someone to find her, and that's when he spots Alice wandering through the streets. She makes it to a gun and ammo store where she picks up some new clothes and some more firepower, but falls over in pain as something starts spreading from a wound on her arm. Remembering back to what happened at the hospital, it turns out that the scientists intentionally exposed her to the T-virus, and now all she can do is wait to see what effect it has. Meanwhile, Jill takes cover at a church along with Wells and this reporter Terry, where they're surprised to find another survivor already hiding inside. It sounds like they're not alone, so the officer goes back to investigate and she encounters a priest who's been feeding dead bodies to his zombified sister as a way of keeping her alive. The man gets bitten during the confrontation, forcing Jill to take them both down, and hearing the gunshots, Terry panics and runs for the door, only to be faced with a horde of zombies waiting on the other side. They're able to close it just in time, but all of the noise attracts something much worse, circling them from up on the ceiling. Panicking, the survivor runs for his life, but that was his biggest mistake, and a moment later he's torn apart as the monster catches him with its tongue. Jill encounters the creature on her way back to the chapel, but she's pulled around a corner by the others and told to stay quiet. It turns out that it's not just one, there's at least 3 types of these monstrosities, and their only choice is to go for the door using whatever ammo they have left. Things almost go wrong as they're quickly surrounded, but just when it looks like they're toast, Alice on a motherfucking motorcycle comes flying through the stained glass window, does a sick burnout into a backflip, launching her bike into one of the liquors, and then shoots the gas tank mid-air, taking the creature out in a giant fireball. It's the most badass thing that they've ever witnessed, but she isn't done yet. And after taking out the last 2 with her shotgun, they decide to team up, and Alice here really knows how to make an entrance. This virus took her from amnesia patient to borderline superhero, just like Neo learning Kung Fu in The Matrix. And if I were these 3, then I'd be glad to have someone like her on my side. Now we know that it's not just the zombies that they have to worry about. In fact, it looks like a bunch of these mutants called lickers have escaped from the lab too, and the way that you need to deal with them is completely different. Unlike the slow-moving zombies that are the most dangerous in packs, lickers are incredibly fast, agile, and aggressive, making even one of them an extremely serious threat. Now this guy made a huge mistake by running away from the group, not just because it made him an easy target, but also because the creatures mainly hunt based on sound. That's why Jill and the others were able to hide from them before the fight started, but they also screwed it up by immediately shooting at the creatures instead of trying to sneak past them as quietly as possible. Now, if they were to encounter these monsters again, then it would be much smarter to stay silent and try to avoid a fight altogether. Now, luckily, Alice here showed up to save them all at the perfect moment, but now the 4 of them still have to make it out of this city in one piece. With her experience working as a police officer, Jill should know all of the best routes through the city, so I'd let her lead the way while Alice here provides the muscle. Now, after the last fight, they desperately need more ammo and supplies, which they can gather from any fallen Umbrella soldiers or Raccoon Police Department officers that they come across. I'd even consider stopping by the police station, the sporting goods store, or the pharmacy to look for better weapons, ammo, and medical supplies. Otherwise, it looks like nothing has changed as far as the lockdown goes. So to me, the best plan to escape the city is still to find a way down into the sewer tunnels, and then use them to sneak out beyond the perimeter. With the population in total chaos, Umbrella decides that it's time to unleash their latest project, a hulking abomination codenamed the Nemesis. On the ground, a squad of STARS officers has just set up a base inside of an abandoned movie theater, where they rescue this survivor LJ as he's looking for a place to hide. Offering the man a weapon, he shows them that he already came prepared with 2 of his own, but nothing could prepare them for what's about to happen next. All of a sudden, they see this giant Frankenstein-looking bastard in a trench coat headed their way, with a minigun in one hand and a rocket launcher in the other. And that's when all hell officially breaks loose. Firing a rocket, he takes out the sniper on the roof with a massive explosion as the others get into position, and Umbrella switches his protocols to directly target members of their unit. The officers return fire, but their weapons can't even make him flinch, and raising his minigun, he unloads into the building until everyone besides LJ is dead. Realizing that he doesn't stand a chance, the man drops his guns and surrenders, and that turns out to be his best decision yet, because the monster leaves to go after the only 2 who are still alive, Jill and her best friend Wells. While the others are walking through the empty streets, the payphones keep ringing at every building they pass until Alice finally picks one up. It's Dr. Ashford, and he says that he can get them out of the city if they're able to rescue his daughter, but there is a catch. Umbrella has decided to nuke the city so that their crimes will never come to light, meaning that they only have until sunrise to get it done. They're headed for the school when Alice senses a disturbance in the force and warns the others that they need to be extremely careful. Frustrated, Wells gets too far ahead of the group when suddenly the Nemesis opens fire on them from the shadows, taking him down with a burst from his minigun. And realizing what they're up against, Alice tells her friends to run for it, but the monster sees her. It calculates that she's the first opponent who might actually be a threat. Leaping from the overpass, she starts blasting at the mutant with her twin pistols, but he smacks her out of the air and fends her off with his much stronger weapons. This forces Alice to retreat back to a nearby parking lot, where he takes out a vehicle with his rocket launcher just as she jumps to safety. Dodging his fire, she ducks into the police station for cover, and he smashes right through the wall as he chases after her. forcing her to make a quick escape by jumping down the garbage chute. Looking down, he fires a rocket directly at her, but she's able to dodge out of the way at the last second, and stays quiet until he eventually leaves, deciding to go after another target instead. Okay, is it just me, or does Matt look a little different from the last time that we saw him? Those sick freaks at Umbrella turned this poor guy into a generic monstrosity, and now his only goal is to hunt down and eliminate Alice and her friends. The nemesis here is like the worst stalker ever, because he's over 7 feet tall, strong enough to walk straight through a brick wall, can leap dozens of feet through the air, and comes with an arsenal of deadly weapons. As if his physical strength wasn't bad enough. Now, unless you're also a superhuman like Alice, then you stand absolutely no chance against this guy, and he isn't going to stop until all of his targets are dead. But with that being said, the best way to survive a fight with him is actually to avoid a fight altogether. The good news is that he's only after Jill and Alice, so if I were another survivor like Terry or LJ here, then I'd just make sure that the nemesis didn't perceive me as a threat. And hopefully he would just leave me alone. But first, the other half of the team still has to find Ashford's daughter before the whole city goes up in smoke. But just because they're breaking into a school and not an underground lab doesn't mean that they can be any less careful. Now, splitting up is too risky, but they don't have a lot of time to waste. So instead of slowly searching through the entire building one room at a time, they should check the front office for the student records and see if they can find her name on a classroom roster or like an attendance sheet. This will tell them exactly which rooms that they're most likely to find her in, allowing them to significantly cut down their search time. I mean, as long as they keep a low profile, they should be able to find the girl without too much trouble. And once they do, they need to call up the doctor and get the hell out of this city before Umbrella turns the whole thing into a giant crater. Somewhere in another part of the city, these Umbrella operatives, Carlos and Nikolai, have been fighting for their lives with no answer to their distress calls. Carlos tells his friends that they've been left behind on purpose, but that's when Dr. Ashford spots them through a security camera and decides to offer them the same deal as Jill and her friends. While Alice distracts the nemesis, Jill and the reporter continue toward the objective in a borrowed truck, picking up LJ on the way when they find him wandering the streets alone. Inside, she hands Terry a weapon and tells her to aim for the head, splitting up so that they can search the building more quickly. LJ almost gets taken out by a zombie hiding in the closet, but he's saved at the last minute by Carlos, and the two of them decide to work together. As for Terry, she wanders into a classroom and finds a young girl sitting alone in the corner. Thinking that it could be Angela, she approaches the girl only to realize that she's already been infected. But as she turns to run, she quickly is surrounded by a group of zombified students and eaten alive before anyone can save her. There's nothing left of her friend by the time that Jill gets there, but she's surprised to find the girl Angela hiding behind a bookshelf. They have to cut through the cafeteria full of zombies to get out, but Jill says that they can just sneak around them, until the girl points out that the zombies aren't their only problem. There's also a zombified dog from the police department's K9 unit, and it knocks Jill's pistol away as it crashes into her, but they're saved at the last second by Carlos's partner Nikolai, who takes them all down with his rifle. He's just getting a chance to introduce himself when another zombie dog pounces in from the side, and needing to protect the girl, Jill has no choice but to leave him behind as he's brutally torn apart. They end up trapped in a kitchen with zombie dogs blocking their way, but thinking quickly, Jill rushes around the room and begins turning on all of the gas stoves. Outsmarting them, she makes it to the door just as Alice finds them and throws in a lit flame, using a fire blanket to protect Angela from the explosion as the dogs are instantly blown to bits. Alice can immediately tell that the girl's been infected, and that's when they learn why the T-virus was first created. The girl's father discovered the virus as a way to help her overcome a genetic disease, but once Umbrella found out, the corporation stole his research and began using him to turn the virus into a weapon. Now that they have the girl, Dr. Ashford explains that they'll have 47 minutes to reach the last helicopter out of the city, but he's caught in the act by Major Kane, who decides to use this as an opportunity for an ambush. Okay, Alice and her friends need to be extra careful here because there's something very important about what the doctor just said. He mentioned that the helicopter is being guarded by Umbrella soldiers, which can only mean one thing. If they know where it is, then so does the nemesis. Now, because of his mutations, the Nemesis possesses superhuman resilience. Even multiple direct shots from high-powered rifles aren't enough to make him flinch, so if they want to do any lasting damage, then they'll need to get a little more creative. Everyone knows that when you can't kill something with bullets, the next thing to try is fire. Although he can regenerate, he's still made of organic flesh, and fire causes prolonged, rapid cellular breakdown that can potentially nullify and outpace his healing factors. For a simple idea, I'd try throwing Molotov cocktails at him, or luring him into an explosive trap and setting it off from a distance with a well-placed shot. Since he's part cyborg, a strong electrical shock could also scramble his brains or overload his targeting systems. Throughout the night, we've seen Nemesis carrying his custom-built rocket launcher with a 6-rocket magazine. As of the last fight, he still has 3 rockets left in the mag, so instead of targeting him, they could target the launcher's magazine, hoping to set off a chain reaction that could take him out in the explosion. If nothing else works, then we know that Angela here is carrying several doses of the antidote. Since the Nemesis's physiology is now more dependent on the virus than not, a direct injection of the antivirus could completely destabilize him on a cellular level, potentially killing him outright, or at least weakening him enough to do some real damage. Using one of the girl's antivirus samples, they hit Carlos with a dose to stop his infection from taking over. Arriving at City Hall, they pull up and take out the guards with some sweet karate moves, while Alice protects them from a sniper up on the roof. Hooking herself up to a cable, she straight up runs down the side of a building and catches a crowd of guards by surprise, eliminating them with her hand-to-hand combat skills before anyone has a chance to raise the alarm. It looks like they're almost free, but as they're boarding the helicopter, Alice realizes exactly who these soldiers were sent to pick up. And that's when her old buddy Matt, aka the Nemesis, comes marching out of the fog. They shout at the pilot to take off, but Major Kane appears and says that they aren't going anywhere, revealing that it was actually a trap all along. After restraining the others, he orders Nemesis to put down all of his weapons, aiming to find out which of the 2 experiments is stronger in an all-out battle to the death. Alice tries to refuse, but he suddenly shoots Dr. Ashford straight in the head, proving that he isn't bluffing when he says he'll kill her friends next. With no other choice but to fight, she starts throwing hands with the creature Power Rangers style, dodging his strikes and countering with her own powerful attacks. But she's already getting tired before the monster is even phased. Knocking him into a steel column, he breaks off a piece and starts swinging it at her like a sword. But Kane throws her 2 metal batons to make it a fair fight. Stunning the beast with a flurry of attacks, she finally winds up and kicks him back onto the exposed spike, impaling the monster straight through the chest. But as the memories of who her friend used to be come flooding back to her, she finds that she can't bring herself to finish him off. As Alice refuses to kill him, the Nemesis pulls himself free and reaches for his minigun, but instead of attacking her, he turns the weapon on the crowd of Umbrella soldiers, regaining just enough of his humanity to remember who the real bad guys are. Panicking, Kane rushes for the chopper, but Carlos and Jill cut their restraints and join the fight, while LJ sneaks to the pilot's seat and knocks the man unconscious. With all of the soldiers down, 2 more Umbrella helicopters prepare to open fire, but the Nemesis steps in front of her and takes them both down with 1 shot from his rocket launcher. Going out as a hero, he ends up being killed by the flaming wreckage, while Alice is knocked unconscious by a flying hunk of metal. Getting the woman back to her feet, her friends help her aboard the chopper, with only a matter of minutes left before they're overrun by an approaching horde. As they're taking off, Alice grabs Kane and throws him back onto the ground, where an army of zombies is already waiting to tear him apart. Reaching for a pistol, the man tries to hold out for as long as he can, but eventually he runs out of ammo, and he's brutally devoured by the zombified Dr. Ashford as the monsters that he created finally get their revenge. Okay, Major Kane, it looks like he finally got what he deserved, and when the same doctor who you just shot ends up being the zombie who takes you out, that's how you know that you just f***ed up. So you accidentally instigated a teeny tiny zombie outbreak that took over an entire Midwestern city. No big deal. That's nothing that the PR department at Umbrella Corporation can't cover up. But when you had a chopper out of here from the very beginning, why wouldn't you just leave? Maybe it's just me, but I would have been out of there the minute that the zombies overran that bridge. You know it's bad when you're such an asshole that you actually caused this thing to suddenly remember the difference between right and wrong. You went out exactly like a guy like you should, helpless, scared, and with the literal consequences of your own actions tearing you to pieces. So, sayonara, Major Kane, because you, sir, have just up. They're flying away from the city as fast as they can, but they don't make it far enough before Umbrella drops the nuke, setting off a massive blast that completely obliterates the entire city. As they're holding on for dear life, the force of the explosion lurches the helicopter forward, sending a piece of metal flying directly for Angela. But Alice dives in front of it at the last second, protecting the girl as they drop out of the sky and crash land near a waterfall somewhere in the mountains. 2 hours later, another team of Umbrella operatives investigates the crash site, but they only find Alice's body in the wreckage, and it looks like the others have already escaped. The survivors secretly release Terry's footage to the media, exposing the company as the ones responsible for the disaster. But sure enough, they managed to pull off a cover-up by claiming that the tapes were a hoax, blaming the whole thing on a meltdown at the nuclear power plant, and putting out an arrest warrant for anyone who knows the real story, with the general public never suspecting a thing. Another 3 weeks go by before Alice suddenly wakes up inside of an Umbrella lab, and the scientists note that her powers are becoming significantly stronger all the time. She's disoriented at first, but everything comes rushing back when Dr. Isaacs here asks if she remembers her name, and suddenly she attacks the workers and starts taking them down one after another. One dumbass fires a taser at her, but she quickly pulls out the darts and throws them back into his chest. Making it to the front door, she's immediately surrounded by a group of soldiers, but that's when Jill and Carlos pull back up in an SUV, claiming to be Umbrella operatives on a classified mission, and peacefully taking Alice without the need for a fight. The plan works, and they drive off thinking that they've just rescued her from the corporation, but what they don't realize is that Dr. Isaacs here planned the escape all along, and he's secretly using Alice to continue their experiments. But the truth is that the infection was never really contained, and pretty soon, they're gonna have a lot more on their hands than just the city to worry about. The next time we see Alice, she's waking up on the floor of an extremely fancy bathroom with a bad case of amnesia. But wait, something about this seems a little too familiar. She's back in the mansion above the hive, or at least that's what it looks like. But as she's finding her way out, she ends up back in the hallway leading into the Red Queen's chamber. Sure enough, the laser grid comes to take her out, but she jumps up into the vents and escapes just in time. Dropping back down again, she finds herself back in the hospital, but she's already expecting another trap. This time, she pushes a stretcher down the hallway in front of her, and it's a good choice because the whole thing gets completely cut in half by a giant metal blade. She's almost to the door when she accidentally hits a pressure plate, and suddenly a spinning mine launches out of the floor. Failing to dodge it, the woman falls to the ground dead, and Dr. Isaacs tells a pair of scientists to dispose of the body. But as they carry her out of the facility, they bring her to a ditch that's full of other Alices, and it turns out that she was just a clone after all. Meanwhile, the real Alice has just arrived on the outskirts of what used to be Salt Lake City. It's been 5 years since Umbrella failed to contain the virus, causing it to spread across the entire world and turning the planet into a giant dust bowl. Anyone who stays in one place for too long ends up becoming zombie food, but it's not just the living dead that they have to worry about. Okay, this makes the outbreak in Raccoon City look like a walk in the park. Now that the virus has gone global, it's not just the zombies trying to kill you. Even if you aren't eaten alive, you'll die from a lack of water in about 3 days, which makes finding some water their top priority. The easiest way is to scavenge water from pre-gathered sources like abandoned water towers, irrigation tanks, grocery stores, and private homes, but that won't always be an option, so they'll need a way to collect some for themselves. Now, believe it or not, this is still possible even in an environment where it never rains. They just have to get a little creative. Even in the desert, there's still moisture in the air. It's just not enough to condense naturally, so what you need to do is create a temperature difference that forces condensation to happen. Like first, they should gather the greenest leaves that they can from any desert plants that are still left. Dig a 2-foot deep hole, place the plant matter inside and a container in the middle. Then cover it with a clear plastic sheet with a weight at the center, creating a downward cone shape. As sunlight heats the pit, the water will evaporate from the plants, becoming caught on the plastic and gathering in the container. Just one of these pits can give them up to a liter of water every day. That should at least keep them safe from dehydration, allowing them to stay focused on the zombos instead. Investigating a distress call at an abandoned radio station, she finds a woman sitting alone at the back of a dark room, only to then immediately be ambushed by a bunch of her friends. Of course, these creeps have no idea who they're messing with, and Alice kills one of them with a single kick to the face, but they knock her out before she can cause any more trouble. Waking up, she realizes that they've trapped her in the basement with a bunch of zombified dogs, but they throw down the keys to her handcuffs to make it a fair fight. And that right there was their biggest mistake. After tricking the first one into falling onto a spike, she snaps the other one's neck with a nasty scissor kick, before quickly taking off her cuffs just as they set the rest of the pack free. The only weapons that she has to work with are a bunch of live electrical wires, but she wraps them around the remaining dogs one at a time until the force of them pulling causes the floor to collapse, giving Alice a chance to escape while the dogs start tearing their masters apart. Since being pushed back underground, Umbrella has been trying to create a cure using DNA from Alice's clones, but so far none of their attempts have worked. Dr. Isaacs is convinced that the only way is to get a sample from the real Alice, but Umbrella's chairman, Albert Wesker, isn't willing to risk the resources unless they're 100% sure of her location, warning the doctor that he better make some progress soon or else they'll give the project to somebody else. Somewhere back on the surface, Alice takes out a zombie with her crossbow and heads into a gas station looking for supplies. There isn't much left that's worth taking, but checking the back closet, she finds a journal near a dead body that claims there's a safe zone in Alaska where the infection hasn't reached. Going back to her bike, she overhears a radio call from a couple of her old friends and decides that it's time to pay them a visit. After going their separate ways, Carlos and LJ joins up with a convoy led by Claire Redfield, and they've just arrived outside of an abandoned motel. The two of them head inside to check for any survivors, and at first, the place looks empty, but when LJ goes to investigate one of the other rooms, he's suddenly attacked by a cop zombie that creeps up from behind him, forcing him to break his neck. Thinking that the coast is clear, the man's catching his breath when he sees another zombie headed his way, but this time when he goes to shoot it, he realizes that it was just a reflection, and she has time to bite a chunk out of his chest before Carlos comes to put her down. After the fight, LJ gets patched up by Betty the nurse, and these two make plans to meet up for dinner later that night, but he never mentions the fact that a zombie already took a bite out of him. Oh man, LJ, say it ain't so, my guy. You've been a legend ever since you were playing GTA with zombies back in Raccoon City, but now it looks like they finally got their revenge. Oh, it's a shame that you managed to survive this long only to literally bite it now, but as much as it hurts me to say this, LJ, my boy, you really f***ed up. I mean, come on though, even you'd have to admit that this one was completely avoidable. I mean, I thought Alice here was dumb for falling for that obvious distress call crap. But wandering into an abandoned motel without a single meat shield 5 years deep into a full-blown zombie apocalypse? What is this, amateur hour? For a guy who was carrying twin deagles before the apocalypse even started, it seems like you'd be more prepared for danger, and the way that you handled that first zombie was like watching a master at work, reversing the sneak attack before using his own revolver against him and then finishing it all off without wasting any ammo. That's absolutely textbook zombie slaying right there. But then you had to just go and let your guard down without checking the rest of the room. Ugh. The worst part is that you were only a few hours away from finding out about a potential safe zone where you'd never have to see another zombie again. But now you'll be lucky to make it to your dinner date without turning your own friends into the main course. So sorry LJ, but it kinda looks like you f***ed up. Back at the base, Umbrella scientists begin experimenting on captured zombies with a new strain of the virus that seems to return a significant amount of their old memories. This one here remembers how to answer phone calls, take pictures, and even put blocks into the right-shaped holes, but everything goes wrong when he can't finish solving the puzzle, and he gamer rages so hard that he breaks free from his chains and starts eating the doctors alive. And it looks like Dr. Isaacs' serum still needs some work. Claire's convoy is running desperately low on supplies, so they decide to camp out at a motel for the night. While they're settling in, Carlos rides around the perimeter and sets up a bunch of cameras, allowing Mikey here to keep an eye on things from the van. That night while Alice is sleeping, she has a nightmare of her time back in the lab, and all around her, objects begin lifting off of the ground. Everything comes crashing down when she suddenly wakes up, including her motorcycle, and now it looks like she'll be walking from here on out. Meanwhile, in the lab, Isaac's computers notice the spike in psionic activity somewhere in the desert, and he realizes that it must have been her. In the morning, this girl Kmart hears a strange noise from the roof of the truck, and when she checks outside, she's suddenly attacked by a zombified cow. Just then, the perimeter alarm goes off as more and more of them begin to close in, and when they look around, they realize that they're completely surrounded by hundreds of birds, all silently watching them from above the motel. Trying to hide, Claire tells everyone to close their windows and stay quiet, but it doesn't take long before someone accidentally makes a noise, and the convoy has to run as the birds go on the attack. Okay, just when you thought that it couldn't get any worse than zombie dogs, now they've got a literal murder of undead crows ready to earn that name. These things might be even more dangerous than the zombies themselves, because not only do they want to eat your flesh, but there are hundreds of them ready to fly in from any angle and overwhelm you so quickly that you have no chance to fight back. They're also infected with the T-virus, so even if you somehow survive, one scratch or peck means you'll be joining the horde anyway. The only thing that can keep them safe is staying inside of their vehicles, because they'll be torn apart in a matter of seconds without a roof over their heads. That's why they need to avoid leaving their trucks at all costs, and if they can, quickly cover the windows with clothes, blankets, or any sturdy materials that they have inside. So the other survivors are going to panic, but what you want to do is stay absolutely quiet, even though it's already too late for the whole group to hide. Calling too much attention to yourself will only get you killed first, so it's much smarter to stay hidden and let the birds go after the others. But with that being said, if somebody like LJ with nothing to lose wanted to go out as a hero, then there's a good idea that he might try. They know that the birds feed a hole. Seeing that they're trapped, the others quickly whip back around to try and save them, hustling them into the van as the birds keep trying to pick them off. They can't protect everyone, and a few of them are eventually pecked to death before they can reach safety, including Betty and Otto, who decide to stay back on the bus and give the others more time to escape. It seems like the birds are never going to stop, and Carlos makes a desperate attempt to rescue the last survivor, but they're about to be roasted alive by an out-of-control flamethrower, when suddenly the flames are stopped in midair by a supernatural force. It's Alice, and redirecting the flames, she covers the entire sky in a gigantic fireball, wiping out all of the birds with one move, and saving their lives just in time. The next day, Carlos and Alice take a minute to catch up on where she's been these last 5 years. After realizing that Umbrella was secretly tracking her, she left her group and went into hiding, deciding that it was safer for her friends if she just stayed far away. He's relieved that she finally came back, but what they don't realize is Dr. Isaacs is watching them as they speak, and now he's absolutely certain that the original Alice is still alive. Although Carlos is happy to see her, not everyone in the group feels that way. After thanking Alice for saving their lives, Claire reluctantly says that she can't stay because her psionic powers makes the other survivors afraid. In the lab, Isaacs asks the head honcho for permission to track her down, convinced that capturing the original Alice is the key to his research, but Wesker here won't risk the troops for anything less than 100% certainty, and the doctor decides that it's time to take matters into his own hands. Alice shows the others the journal that she found, claiming to know about a safe zone in Alaska, but Claire doesn't think that it's worth checking out. I mean, even if it was true, the last transmission is from several months ago, meaning that they could easily have been completely wiped out by now. She doesn't want to risk her people's lives chasing an impossible dream, but Carlos points out that they don't have much to live for anyway, and they're all slowly dying off as it is. Putting it to a vote, they unanimously agree to give it a try, deciding that the chance of a normal life is worth the risk. They now know where they're headed, but getting there is a whole different story. They'll need to stop somewhere for supplies along the way, and Claire realizes that there's only one place that they haven't tried yet: the ruined city of Las Vegas, canvas itself. Okay, sure, why not? That might be a good plan if they all wanted to die. They need to cut through the city because they're running low on fuel, but this is just the start of their trap, and they aren't going to make it all the way to Alaska on one tank. Eventually, the global fuel supply is going to dry up no matter what, but I've got some ideas for how they can become completely fuel independent. I'm putting my genius hat on. Here we go. Instead of looking at their trucks as trucks, they should look at them as a collection of parts, strip them down, and then rebuild them into sand sailors that use wind power to skim across the dunes like sailboats. Thank you. I know. I will collect my Nobel Prize now. These already exist in real life, could easily be crafted out of everything that they have on hand, and would never break down or run out of gas like their original trucks. All they would need are the bodies of their vehicles, some utility poles for masts, and any large strips of canvas or tarps for the sails, giving them a quiet method of travel that completely eliminates the need for fuel. Now, if they wanted to get a little darker with it, what they could do is capture a bunch of zombies, take off their arms and jaws so that they're no longer a threat, and then harness them to the trucks with some meat on a stick hooked way out in front as bait, essentially luring them into a team of zombies.
This one goes better with the walls.
This is so much easier than the home improvement store.
So which would you recommend?
Do you like brown? Hey.
Yeah, some things are just better at home. With Empire's Home Floor Advantage, you can compare samples in your own space. Plus, I'll be here to help you with every step of the process.
Do you remember trying to figure out pricing and installation?
There's the measurement fee, delivery fee, restocking fee, convenience fee.
And installation?
Oh, no. That's not my department.
We have clear, all-inclusive pricing, no surprises, and installation is on your schedule. It could even be installed tomorrow.
Call or visit EmpireToday.com and get the Home Floor Advantage.
It really is better at home.
800-588-2300. Empire Today.
We're moving to clay. The movement is different.
You have to play physical. Clay requires the maximum energy.
It'll be interesting to see who can make some moves and put themselves up for the second major.
Yo, what to do, everybody? I'm Arctic. Hope you're having a good day. We are back with another Wyatt's build. And this time we got the ultimate proficiency build, baby. Let's go ahead and check it out. Nothing but proficiency perks. First perk we got is Bomb Squad. We are able to dismantle 4 traps, full free, money back guaranteed. And the dismantling speed is 50% faster. Next perk we got is Efficient Locksmith. 40% chance of keeping our unlocked tools after opening up some doors. And last perk is Highly Skilled. 7 more points into proficiency. And you already know for the attribute points, we went ahead and maxed proficiency out. So we got level 50 on that. And then I just dumped the rest of the points into endurance for a total of 41. And that's not all, folks. The best proficiency thing about Wyatt is that we got his level 3 knife throw ability. This one, knife throw interactions. So it can instantly shut off objectives and also dismantle traps with our throwing knives if you want to. Here is a skill tree. You just hit that quick left. First perk right here, highly skilled, go up, bomb squad right there. And then you just want to take a right here and you get Efficient Locksmith right there. Let's hop into these games, sit back, relax, hopefully you guys enjoy, and let's get it. All right, here we go. We got Wyatt's back-to-back videos with them, bro. We did one yesterday, and we got one today. Underneath the graveyard map. But this time, we're changing things up, bro. We got a max proficiency build on Wyatt, bro. Lock picking build. Should I spam? Nah, I gotta keep it on down low. Yo, you see that picture of Bubba on the wall? Oh, shoot. We got a Bubba in the basement. And he's doing maintenance work around here. Let's see if I get this cracked open before he comes buzz on this way. Oh, and we got a hand. He just turned off the generator. All right, but we got Bomb Squad, Efficient Locksmith. That did not work. And Highly Skilled. More points of the proficiency. With the maxed out proficiency as well. Oh, shoot. Grandpa's woken. Yo, am I cooked right here? Holy. Oh, shoot. I forgot Grandpa was moving. Oh, I'm GG's. I think I'm actually GG's right here. Open sesame. Go! Oh! I door slammed him though. We're still alive. Bro, that was close. Holy. Where we going, bro? Where we going? I gotta find some heals. That's where I'm going. All right, let's go ahead and go this way. Oh, we got biggins right here. Don't mind if I do. Hold on. All right, we safe. I gotta get upstairs. So I don't know who the third family member is. Maybe a cook or Hitchy, something like that. Let's get these open, bro. I think there's another healing pot over here, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab that. Come on. There is. It's a biggins too. Let's go see if there's another toolbox right here. Dang it. There's not. That's fine. This single tool I have in the inventory will do. Trust me. This perk works all the time. The efficient locksmith. Or whatever it's called. Watch this, yo. Boom. What'd I tell you? It worked. I'm just kidding, it didn't. This is tough, bro. Alright. By the way, all seasoned family members, I'm gonna go ahead and go this way, take a left. There should be a toolbox down here, right? We got hands behind me. And a Leatherface over here, though. Oh! Holy Brody! I'm going back to the basement, bro.
Continues in Muerto County for a missing University of Texas student. The sheriff's
Virginia,
department says Maria Flores, a native of Uvalde, was last seen near the town of Newt. The vehicle was recently discovered abandoned, with officials reporting no signs of foul play. Authorities are hopeful that the expanded search into
And we got trappers for days. Fear not, bro, fear not. Bomb squad and my thrower knife. Oh, I forgot to mention, we got the level 3 ability, of course. We can instantly shut off the objectives. This book is yours, man, bro. You're fixing locksmith. You got hands over there. Alright, we're going gen I'm going gen bro.
Oh my god.
Yo! Disable! Get this cracked open. If I'm able to get this open, then I'm gonna use a bomb squad charge on the gen and throw a knife at it. You already know. Or should I go ahead and get the...
Everything. This is real. We'll break down how to analyze price differences for XRP across different exchanges and how traders use this to optimize their trades. If this topic is interesting for you, click the like button and let's dive in. Disclaimer. This is not financial advice. Just the cryptocurrency market is highly risky, so it's crucial to do your own research and assess all potential risks. What's the idea? XRP is digital asset with high liquidity, and price can rise slightly across different trading platforms. Sometimes traders notice fluctuations in the range of 7–10%, which creates certain market opportunities. How does this process work? Step 1. Price analysis. To track real-time exchange rates, you can use XRP scan service. Link is in the description. It helps to monitor price differences across exchanges and filter data for each of 2. Finding the optimal platforms. Some traders looking for platforms where the price is low and consider buying there. However, it's important to factor in liquidity, fees, withdrawal speed, and other issues. Step 3. Buying XRP. For example, one trader buys XRP at a lower rate on one platform. It's recommended to start with small amounts to get familiar with the process. Step 4. Selling at a higher price. After purchasing, the trader can transfer the asset to another platform where the price is higher and sell it there. The result depends on market conditions, fees, and transactions. Step 5. Repeating the process. Some traders work in profits in stable coins and repeat the process when new market opportunities arise. Networks with low transaction fees are often used for fund transfers. And why is this interesting? No letters is used, reducing the risk of liquidation. Price fluctuations create trading opportunities, regardless of market direction. You can gradually learn how to create the process and adapt the strategy to your experience level. Important consideration. XRP scan to monitor exchange rates and identify price differences. Accounts on multiple exchanges to study price discrepancies. Attention and quick reaction.
Thank you, Lord.
Market conditions change fast.
It seems
If
I've
you
lost
found this material useful, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss new breakdowns. Questions? Drop them in the comments. See you in the next video.
Life doesn't stop when you're getting an education. That's why Sophia offers self-paced, online, college-level courses that are designed to transfer. Access 70+ courses for only $99 a month and start learning today.
I should probably go over here first to get this door open, right? Yeah, let's do that. Oh! I don't got an unlock tool. I don't think I saved one tool this whole game. Are you serious right now? Go, 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 go! Yo, we are flopping right now, hard.
Yes. Thank you, God. I'm okay.
That's fine.
I'm okay.
Let's just go get this gate open. They're gonna know we're over here, but that's fine.
Finally.
I believe in us.
Come on.
No zappage
Come
here.
on.
Come on. I hear hands, bro. He's down. He's coming up. He's coming up. Almost coming up. Now that we're guarding this area, there they are, bro.
I can do this. I can do this.
Oh! They got me surrounded, bro. Open something.
You better die right quick. Trust me.
Oh shoot, dang, this is not good. Ah! Don't kill me, Leatherface. Yo, I saved myself. Oh! That was clean. Yo, there's a trap right there. I'm going down here. Ah! I gotta recover. Holy, that was close. Luckily, Leatherface can't come down the ladder. But he's entering the basement, bro. Is he entering the basement? He is. Get me gone! Yo, this Leatherface wants me gone, bro. What did I ever do to him, you know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and try and find some more heals. Crazy game, bro. Let's get this door cracked open. We got Hitchy up there, I hear him. Look at him, bro, look at him. It's crazy. Water pump has been deactivated by family member. I think Leatherface is still in the basement. Grandpa doing his thing. Hold still, everyone, hold still. Alright. I saw a victim over there and a victim over there. No idea where that's at on the map. Not that used to it. I'm just trying to scavenge for some heals right now, bro. Boom. Locked and loaded with some tools. There's gotta be heals down here, right? Grandpa, how many times you gonna be freaking yawning, bro? I see no heals. I think we'll GG's. I'm gonna have to try and do the fuse box or something. Oh, I found the biggins. This will do wonders. Come on. Bro, I'm surprised I had enough time to hit a Leatherface with that throwing knife. He probably could have swung at me earlier, but hey, we got lucky. Water pump has been deactivated by a family member. Up and away with. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this one back on. See what happens. Activate. There's a healing bottle right there too, though. It's a biggins. I'm gonna save that for someone. I'm just gonna look for a little one. And boom. Alright, we're going back to the generator. The roll. Nuggets. Come on, bro. I thought we were homies. Yo, someone commented, I think yesterday's video, a chicken jockey. Bro, that's Nuggets' new name. Chicken jockey. Oh, they got level 2. Nobody escapes hell. I just realized that. Luckily, all the fences for the gen has been cracked open, you know? Dang! Grandpa, one hungry camper today. Did he got level 3 exterior alarms? Probably. Hey, I finally kept an unlock tool. Gramps got stabbed, let's go. I'm going back to generator. I got to. I think Hans is over there. outside the church or something. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's go. Disable this with the bomb squad. Throw a knife at it. Hansy's gonna come and rip all that 100%, so I'm sorry, but I'm leaving you behind. No, he's gonna rip all it. No, I'm not gonna make it. Dang it, he turned it off. I knew he was. And we got Leatherface coming back this way, bro. He's resetting his freaking... He's gonna reset his trap. I can't throw a knife at it yet, right? Oh, basement exit open, that's huge! Run, Leland! Go, 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 go! Hopefully this victim has Saboteur. That's literally our only hope right now. Oh, we might be screwed, bro.
3 adolescent vandals have been terrorizing the city of Lexington, Texas, with horrific depictions of famine and the macabre. Nearby active officers may involve Remoto as a sheriff, investigating evidence authorities locally intercepted years ago. The grotesque animal dioramas composed of phosphorus and appears to be the connection is unknown. Not likely coincidental.
I got... Yo, he escaped too. Yo, let's go. Next game, bro. Ho, 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 ho. And we got Nancy's house now. That generator looking nice right about now. Ain't that right, kind of baby? Come on. So we got Leatherface, Pitchy, and yeah. But my plan is you can hook a knife at the generator. And we got no hands, so I don't have to worry about like disabling a freaking trap. We got Leatherface zooming on this way, bro. Leatherface, relax, will ya?
What do I do with
I'm over here. Chase me instead. She got eyes on the person on the door. I'm gonna zoom this way, get my tools. 2x50. Oh, sir. Yo, Leatherface, why you coming over here? Is it because I'm level 3 white? I'll just go ahead and spam. Oh, that's one. One more time for the one time. Yes, sir. Which way you going, Leatherface? He's right in front of me, not gonna lie. Go, 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 go! I'm gone! But am I really gone? Nope. Alright, we're gonna crack this door open. Door time! 50 POP. With the white, even more OP. And level 3, insanely OP. Yo, Leatherface, look good. Hup. I'm gone. Just go upstairs, Leatherface. Yeah, bump. Alright, where are we going next? We got Connie right there. Leatherface. Connie, watch your back, yo. Oh wait, Leatherface going upstairs. Alright. Let's go ahead and go up this way. Maybe not. Okay. Let's put that right there for a second. Let the games begin, bro. Where the gen at? Leatherface cutting down a barricade. Let's go ahead and chill right here. He doesn't know. Ain't no way he knows, right? Oh, crap here. We're looky. I'm gonna save my knife more for the effective stuff.
We're gonna finish this
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yo, can I keep this on cool actually this time? That would be helpful. And boom. Oh, I can't just go. Alright, let me go visit the generator. There we go, Leatherface. He's coming this way. Bamboozle. Holy bamboozlage. Jen time. What's good, Jen? Up. Yo, Leatherface is in the battery side, so I might just go for who near me. Run! Oh! Oh! I'm gonna stay down here. I'm gonna let the other victims go up there. Who's the third family member? Yo, that hit you going for that victim. Alright. Maria, let's go. Me and you back to battery. There's a Leatherface over there, so watch out. I might go for the valve. Wait. Nah, I'm not going for the valve. I'm gonna go in here. Oh, Maria doing the fuse. No nuggets right here. We chilling right here. Oh! Bamboozled again, Leatherface? He's coming back, he's coming back. Actually, I have no idea. Let's get this cracked open real quick. Yo, he locked me in here. He closed the blue door. I might be GG's, not gonna lie. Yo, he's just gonna be chilling back here? I don't even think he heard the generator get turned off. I'm going for it. We risking it, but I'm going for it. Come on, Greed! One more time, one more time, one more time, one more time, one more time. Come on, where is it? Oh! Yo, kind of cooking? He has no idea. I'm gonna chill right here a little bit. Psych, I'm going for it. Basement exit open. Holy. I'm about to get slam dunked, I think. I don't even think Leatherface heard the battery get shut off because his freaking chainsaw, you know what I'm saying? Holy bamboo village. I can't see. Yo, he knows someone's back here, and that someone's me. Oh, shoot. I'm cooked, bro. Leatherface! 1v1 me! Ah! Ah! GG's, folks! Ah! Face bleed! Family house map. Let's see who we got. I think we got Sissy, Leatherface, and Cook. Let's get a schmove on, bro. We a magician. Peep the distance. Holy. Gramps, he liked that magic trick. That's why he woke up. After I got it. Holy Leatherface. Run, gotta run. Run, gotta run. Oh, shoot. Yo! I'll save you, Cuddy! No! I missed the knife, bro. Dang it. Oh. I'm out of here. Bro, that would have been clutch if I saved it, bro. Unfortunate. Nice. Oh, we're gonna go up this way. Ooh, we got Leland, level 99, picking that door. Relax that. I kept my unlock tool. Yes, sir, from the first door. Boom.
Jared Gaines wasn't
Open
sure
sesame.
what he was expecting
Oh,
when
that's
he
Connie's
discovered a
blood right there.
burned-out truck on his back 40
Cook,
this
we're
morning.
good.
Gaines was patrolling the perimeter of his lab just after sunrise when he saw the truck in the distance. It was apparent that the truck was damaged from a distance, but closer inspection led Gaines to find a charge remains. Driver's seat
I guess we can try.
and a large bag filled with money.
Oh! Oh! I'm going this way. I'm gonna hold Leatherface hostage. I'm about to get slam dunked. Ah!
I gotta get out of here.
This ain't good, bro. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna be chilling right here until another family member comes down here. Oh, no. I'm going down here. Ah! This ain't good. Whoa, I'm glitching through the wall. Where am I? What the freak? Am I stuck behind a freaking... Yo, what good, brother? Yo, I'm actually stuck. I can't move. Let's see what happens if I climb this. Oh, basement exit open. Yo, I gotta get this cracked open. Boom. Open sesame. Bro, I wanted to climb the ladder from, like, when I was stuck. I probably would have phased through the wall up there or something. Down here, body blocking. I got a